You are now listening to The Sports Table.
This is gonna be fun, man. That swag is back, baby.
Yeah. It's on the wrong.
Swag is back.
It's in the wrong
From the
area.
same university. The same university.
Doesn't mean anything.
With Chris,
Would you have sex with that deer?
Dio Carlos,
Who is Ed Block? I'm a Dolphin fan. Been one since '71. Don't know Ed Block.
Alan,
Combination of choke and suffocation via teeth.
and Dio George. Because here, nothing is off the table.
Can't say swag is back.
Swag is back.
No, swag is back when football does.
Swag is back.
Swag is back my ass.
Quiero contarle, mi hermano, un pedacito de la historia negra, de la historia nuestra, caballero. Y dice así.
Is that where I have to go?
Los hits son los mejores. Los hits son los mejores.
This music gets you going.
En los años 1600.
And I'll be honest with you, out of everyone to bring this music, I'm surprised that it wasn't Alan.
But you know what? I was just thinking of all the music we've had, and we've had some good music.
Yeah.
This is
This is it.
top notch right
This is
here.
it.
No, I don't think so. I think my music was better. Cuando aquí llegaron
Welcome to the Sports Table, everyone. We are starting off with some flavor. I'm Chris, and I'm joined by, of course, everyone's in the house today. Theo Carlos is here.
I'm here.
Theo George is here. Alan's here. And I'm here. I'm Chris. Huge show. Am I understating that?
I
Am
think you are
understating
understating. I think you need to build it up a little bit more. Let me hear that again. Build it up some.
This will be the greatest show ever recorded in human history.
And I'm so terrified I might pull a Paul George.
I know. We'll
Like
get-
game 7? I might think about just leaving. I'm scared.
Before we get into any of the topics that we're going to get into, Alan, why don't you sort of describe? I'm giving you a parlay in the rules for today's show because you wanted to spread it out. I wanted to George it up. So he gets a freelance of not necessarily on the same album, but sort of the same style.
Look,
or
man,
same-
it's so. First off, it's really impossible for me to be the one for Spanish, but I just kind of grew up going to 15s and being in 15s, and secretly I know how to dance rueda, and
There you go.
I can actually teach it to about an intermediate level.
Hey.
Really? Yeah. I actually got fourth graders to do a rueda once for a show.
Wow.
I don't know if
All
that
calls
I
and
don't
all
know
that.
if that classifies you as a teacher, but
Well, if you can teach a
fourth
fourth grader
graders
to do
once. I don't know about
Hey,
that.
they did a full show. They did it just like a 15s. I've been to 15s and the rueda was worse.
There you go. That's fair.
I'm glad I was able to restrain myself with the following comment that I was thinking.
Just go for it.
no, absolutely. No, because Anthony listens to the show and Edie once in a
Come
while
on,
listens to
man.
the show. I have to keep this.
Nothing wrong with a little flavor.
Yeah, well, that would be spicy. That's spicy.
So this is just go in.
Well, my choice was if the Heat lost, I was coming in with sad anime music because I've got a ton of that. But the Heat won, so I wanted some flavor, some Miami.
That
And
makes sense.
hey, nothing more Miami than a bunch of Spanish music that everyone dances to.
There you go.
Almost everyone.
Almost everyone.
Big show.
But we definitely pay dominoes to it. That we
Oh
do.
yeah.
Yeah. No, this is definitely music that I prefer hearing. Sometimes when Theo Raul gets in control of the music,
Pandora, we can't do that. We
come
can't let
on,
him get
man.
in
We
control
hear,
of Pandora.
some dance techno music that I'm like, nah, we're not here for that. And it's weird.
You don't want a Vici during your dominoes?
Well, I mean, Depeche Mode. I mean, that's not what you do when you're playing dominoes, drinking beer or scotch, and and it's 2:30 in the morning. You don't want to hear Depeche Mode.
No, nothing. Big show today. Said it 3 times. It's going to be even bigger once we get there. We have a full board of topics to get to. We have guests coming on the show today.
Ooh, show 15.
Game of Thrones. Just let it sit there for a second. Yeah.
Rob is dead.
King of the North.
Spoiler alert.
We will get to all that stuff later. We will talk The Miami Heat, they're in the finals.
Los Heats son los mejores.
Starts tomorrow. And baseball's going on. We haven't talked baseball outside like the few seconds of Alan updating us on the Marlins. And the first, basically before the season started. So we're going to get an update. There's a huge scandal. And of all the places in the country, in the world, that'll involve performance-enhancing drugs and people being linked and possibly ruining their careers forever.
And fake doctors.
It's got to be down here from Miami.
Well, you hear people going to Canada and people going to Australia and they're going here. They're going different parts of the world.
The Dominican Republic was a place to go before.
Yeah, to do different things and to get different treatments and everything else. But the bomb explodes here in Miami on Coral Way. I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible.
We're going to have Larry Milian from the Amigo and Diz come on the show today and cover that. We have the Game of Thrones. We have Phil Bicking. He's the creator and editor-in-chief of winteriscoming.net. He's going to come and sort of give an outsider's perspective, more official perspective of, Game of Thrones. And he's going to tie it all together with us. And then we have Theo Carlos' segment later in the show. I know it's going to be very educational.
Somewhat.
Okay. And then we have going
disheartening or heartening, depending on how you look at it.
So, a ton to get to today. I can't start off any better, though, than the Miami Heat advancing in 7 to the finals for the third year in a row. I mean, it's just accolades upon accolades on this team, especially this season. 27 in a row, LeBron winning the MVP, them facing adversity and coming through. And it's just been one of those rides where you don't want it to end. That's the way I feel. I know when the playoffs start, after every game, I count down 16, 12. After each win, 12 more games till we win a ring, 8 more games till we win a ring, so on and so forth. After game 7, I'm like 4.
4 more.
4, and that hurts because we don't know how much longer this is going to go on, so we have to appreciate for what it is now, and boy, is it fun.
Well, it's a lot of fun, and it doesn't happen very often. This is the second time in handful of years that you've gone back to the finals, that anybody's gone there. And for me, it's going to be much more gratifying. I wasn't in town last year when the Heat were winning it. So, watching it alone or watching it, at a anti-Heat fan's house.
By the way, we're getting together tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Are you coming?
Where was it?
At Chris's.
Sure, I'll be there.
That's news to me.
What do you mean that's news to you? You told me that.
I sort of said, hey, let's all plan on, but I haven't made any plans. I don't know. I'll do it.
It doesn't matter. We can come to my house.
Be late my last. Okay? We're not going to Chris's house.
Come to my house.
I'm just saying that so he doesn't come.
I'll be sitting there watching.
Communist bastard.
No, but it was one of those moments, Game 7, where you don't get to enjoy those moments in sports, especially in pro basketball. They're rare, and when your team's involved, it's even more animated. I'll be honest with you, I was never worried. It's one of those things.
Well, you are such a liar.
I wasn't.
I asked you right when the first quarter. You told me you were worried.
I never said I was worried.
Oh, come on.
I said I was
unshakable
cautious.
confidence.
I said I was cautious.
What, you
cautiously
cross
optimistic or cautiously pessimistic?
Bull crap.
Just cautious.
No, just cautious. Just like a yield sign.
I don't think I don't.
When did you become a wordsmith? You're playing semantics now. Cautious. Change the definition. Cautious.
I'm just saying it's one of those things where in your deck of cards you have the best player in the world.
Well, I mean, I've made that comment to you and to the guys on several occasions. I believe that we have the best player in the world. I know we have the best player in the world.
I think the world knows.
Yeah.
In a one game do or die type of thing, or a 1 quarter do or die type of thing, I do not think we're going to lose. I mean, I went into this game really, really confident. In fact, I wrote some pregame notes where I thought we needed to increase our free throw shooting, we needed to increase our field goal percentage, and shoot well from 3, 38%. They shot 38% from 3, and those are some of the things that I thought they needed to do, which is part of what it was. It wasn't any revelation on my part.
Right.
I just went ahead and picked up what they did during the season and said, this is what they got to do to win the game, because they hadn't done that yet.
I was disappointed that the series went to 7 games. I really was.
I wasn't surprised.
I was, and I was surprised that we played that bad that many games.
Well, you saw it. You saw it against Chicago, and you saw it. They didn't play well against Milwaukee. So I had no premise, no idea on which to hold that they would continue to play, that they would start playing well, and they didn't. They didn't play well into that one game, and again, limited. It was only a Dwayne Wade 21 performance. They played outstanding defense.
Yeah,
outstanding defense, and defense that maybe hasn't been seen in a long time in this league. That second quarter defense was smothering.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they erased what had been just a horrible rebound deficit, and they won that game rebounding wise.
Yeah, they did. They out-rebounded
and they completely shut down the boogeyman. The boogeyman was a non-factor in a lot of ways compared to usually. He was just bullying everyone around him.
not only that, they shut down the superstar too.
Who?
The next LeBron.
Who?
Oh, he put him in his pocket.
They have one of those?
The best player in Indiana.
Watch out, LeBron Whitlock, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, baby dragon. Fear the baby dragon.
Has he let him out of his
coming
pocket
for
yet?
ya.
Has he let him out of his pocket? Or is he still? Maybe he didn't pull him out of the shorts. He's in the washing machine now.
I'll tell you what, them TNT guys, I am so glad the finals are not on TNT. They sucked.
I
You
don't
talking
think they
about
sucked. I just
the
thought that they
halftime,
were.
or
Well, I think the whole production was really, really bad.
Well, no. There's a difference between analysis and production. I think they're the top class of production, like in regards to visually and how things are smooth and sounding. I think they're great.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay, true. Production and actual analysis of the game or putting the game together as far as what they say and how they say it. Halftime, I think it's pathetic. Pre-game is pathetic.
I don't think I
and
ever
thought the
want to
game was
see
bad.
Reggie Miller ever again on a game.
They're so biased.
No, and Reggie, he was just vomiting the verticality thing over and over.
Yeah, flopping verticality.
And
flopping
he was
verticality.
wrong so many times because I'm watching Hibbert just do body slams, just jump forward with his arms straight up. Law of verticality.
Not even with his arms straight up. They were going forward.
Like he was
No, but
Superman.
like
He was
even
Superman.
that, like literally, it was just chest out all the way,
But
and
his
he was
arms-
destroying. But
Chest
His
bumps.
arms were actually
no,
forward.
the ones forward, there's no vertical. But even like he would fake it,
right.
and you would just
The
see
chest bump. Yeah.
it was just chest bump, and
Good
you're
job,
like,
LeBron.
Bobble, he's moving forward into the contact at the foul. Law of verticality, and when someone falls, no matter what the reason, flop.
Right.
It can't be a good play. No, it's a flop.
Nah, they were terrible.
This was the one series I think that Miami would struggle the most out of anyone. I mean, I know the Spurs are great. I mean, they're a great team.
They're a much more talented team.
But I feel that the way that Bosch was completely taken out of his game, that was really the reason why. I mean, and Wade not being healthy. Because I told you guys, when Miami lost their games, they were still in it.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was from out of the top 5 players on the team, 4 of them not playing well. Because Wade was hurt and he was atrocious. Bosch has been was irrelevant, I should say.
Ben.
And Ray Allen and Shane Battier couldn't make anything.
No, they ended up benching Battier, basically.
So with all those factors going against Miami, they were still, even a game 6 down by 19, they were able to cut it to 4.
Yeah.
And the ball.
And game 2, it was 1 possession away, and all the games that they lost was like that. So I always thought Miami was superior.
Yeah.
And it took game 7 of an average night from Dwayne Wade in order for Miami
And a bad night from Bosch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he just got rebounds.
And Ray Allen making 3 or 4, which is what you expect.
Right.
For them to put him away. There wasn't a moment in the game where you're like, okay, Indiana's going to make their run. It was pretty much over in the second quarter.
After 19-21, at the end of the first quarter, that was the last time you thought Indiana had a chance in this game.
Right.
And even going into that 19-21 end of the first quarter, you started to feel that momentum was turning that they had nothing left.
I felt great after that first because I'm watching a team that they were finally becoming themselves. Even with Bosch trying to commit suicide at the rim, like he was active. Wade, the entire game active. You hadn't seen that, and that defense just made them all look so stupid all game long.
I don't understand why they didn't double up
Earlier.
I mean,
They don't like it. It's kind of against their natural principles. They don't want because they've struggled with 3-point shooting against them a lot. they don't like doubling up because you set yourself up to have the swing passes lead to open shooters.
It's not like Indiana has great 3-point shooters.
Well, no, I'm aware. But, do you want to give Paul George a chance to be more than the
Guard him.
fledgling?
Don't leave him alone. Rotate to him and leave somebody else open.
Well, you're going to see that.
Yeah, you can hope for that.
You'll see that now in San Antonio. Yeah, they're gonna rotate. And they're gonna do that. But you're not going to see much doubling down because they are not going to leave those guys open.
Yeah, but Duncan, although Duncan is, I think, probably better in the post than Hubert is.
He is, but he won't have the 50 pounds of meat.
Right.
And he won't have the positioning because he's not big enough to get it.
And I would say that the way that Roy Hibbert was playing was even above what was his average. I mean, he was making jump shots.
He averaged 11 points a game.
Yeah, that's what I was
going
to say for the
He
season.
doubled it. He doubled it to 22 in the playoffs.
I'm trying to think what Lebitard said. He had one time in his career had 4 games resembling the past 5 games.
Right.
And he had never had 5 games like he had just had. And that's just, he's beating up poor, 190-pound Bosch and poor Battier, and there's nothing
Bosch
they could
is
do.
soft, man. He is. He's soft.
People have been saying that since he was in Toronto. He just plays a different style. I think if he was a white guy, he wouldn't be soft.
Yeah, you would just
He'd be
say
soft,
you
too.
just say he's European.
He'd be Dirk Nowitzki.
Yeah.
Right.
No, Nowitzki is no way.
What?
He's soft, man.
What?
He is.
I don't
What's
see
the
much.
difference?
I don't see much
What's the
difference in their
difference?
games. Dirk doesn't even think about the paint.
Dirk shoots the 3 better, but Bosch plays better defense. And I think Bosch is a better rebounder as well.
Yeah, Bosch is
I
more
think
engaged.
if you put Nowitzki, whatever his name is, to cover no, I forgot the other guy's name. Never mind.
David West or Roy Hibbert?
Hebert. He'll do a better job than Bush does.
No.
I think so.
No, that dude doesn't see the block ever. He has no post defense. He's just tall. At least Bosch is down there, getting beat up, but he's down there. He'll react to footwork. He'll understand what people are aiming for. Dirk rather just guard slow guys at the perimeter.
The way that Bosch plays, it's not conducive to what the fan base wants. I mean, they want, if he's going to be the third guy, the big man, you want him to get rebounds and go in the post, but that's not his game.
And I understand it's never been his game.
Right.
And the other thing you got to consider, you have on that team excellent rebounders at other positions. Dwayne and LeBron are above average, if not superior rebounders at the 3 and the 2. You have guys, Mike Miller doesn't play this year, but he's usually a very good rebounder.
He is.
You've got Udonis cleaning up rebounds. So there's not as much there for Bosch to get compared to like what he was in Toronto, where he was really the best rebounder of the team, and that padded his numbers.
The matchup that he faced against David West and Roy Hibbert are going to be far in his mind, far away, because coming up against San Antonio, you got Thiago Splitter. You know what I mean? You have a Bonner.
Oh, he's going to love covering Bonner because he's not going to have to do anything.
Those are going to be the rebounders that he's going to have to go against. So Chris Bosh is suddenly going to reemerge. He's going to find himself against a team that
I think the numbers over the course of the 3 years he's been here have proven he's a good matchup against San Antonio.
Yeah,
finishing it off with not having Wade and LeBron the last game they played and winning the game without him.
Miami's they've just looked so like they've been going through the motions. There's been 3 complete games I thought they played the entire postseason. One against Chicago, and then 2 against Indiana. Game 2 and then Game 7 I thought was a complete
game 3 and 7
or 3 and 7.
Yeah, and look what happened when they did that.
So I feel
and hence my comment of being disappointed that he went to 7 games, because I don't think they put all their effort into it, and I don't know if it's that or I guess you got to give Indiana some credit for the type of defense they play, but I don't know. I just don't see them going all out. The difference between Game 7 and all the other games, even Game 3, it's amazing. It is. It's amazing.
What they did defensively, again, we mentioned it earlier, is something we haven't seen very often in this league at all, especially in the last few years. That was a defensive mauling. These guys had no clue what was coming, where it was coming from, and the activity, the quickness with which they reacted, the veracity which they were rebounding, the way they were pushing the ball right after the rebound or the steal. It was just something that second quarter could go down as one of the better second quarters ever played.
And it wasn't even only defense; it was their offense. They were going to the rim.
Right, but it
You know?
started with the defense.
Yeah. But I mean, they were going to the rim. You got to a big guy like Hubert. You got to challenge him. And if he blocks your shot a couple of times, he blocks your shot a couple of times.
That seemed to almost be the plan in the first quarter. They asked Chris Bosh, "Go kill yourself."
Yeah,
It really
you
did.
know what?
Run
I
up
think-
against the
And
wall.
that was fine because it made Hibbert
Think.
have to become active, have to be before he was just kind of standing around.
Yeah.
and it forced
and-
fouls on him.
Yeah, no. Well, even in the first quarter, I don't remember if he had any fouls in the first quarter, but you start the motion, you start the threat,
Yeah.
and that led to Hibbert's foul trouble. That led to him not being in there, and it paid dividends.
Okay, so two things then before we wrap this segment up. First of all, let's look at the teams in the East now. Miami next year, they're all going to be in their last year of their contract before they opt out. New York has its troubles. Derrick Rose is I mean, hopefully, I mean, you would think logically he would come back next season. We don't know.
He's not ready.
Boston is old. And Indiana, they might lose David West. They might keep him. I think he'll be the key whether they're going to be really that much
They'll keep
successful
him.
or not.
Well, what are they going to do with Granger?
That's another thing. I mean,
one
I think
one
he's
theory
expandable.
was either you amnesty him to get the money, or you use him to trade away and get another piece to try to help the roster, boost the roster up.
They need to improve that point guard position. Their point guard position is really, really
Yeah.
poor. I mean, Hill's serviceable, but only to a certain point. And obviously, the kid they have back.
And the backup
Augustine.
is terrible.
Augustine.
He's
He's the
terrible.
worst.
So at the end of the day, they need a point guard more than they need Danny Granger on the court. And I think that's what I would do. I would go try to find myself
You'd
a point
send
guard
Granger away for an upgrade there.
for an upgrade at the point guard.
Not offensively either, I don't think.
No.
I would think if you can sort of package a deal, try to get Rondo from Boston, that would make
Ain't no way.
Wait, I take that back. Yeah, do it.
that would make
that-
sense because
that would-
what would Rondo do? I mean,
Rondo would implode that shit, man.
no way.
Well,
Yeah.
wait.
The
Are we
offense- the
talking, are we
offense
talking
wouldn't fall on
attitude?
him?
Are we talking attitude?
Well, no, not talent.
No.
Talent's fine.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem
I'll
with
tell
the
you
talent.
I think he
But
he
he
would
makes
fit.
that team.
He would
makes that-
fit that team.
Absolutely.
I'll
he'd
tell
fit
you,
that team.
that would be a tough team to beat.
Yeah,
Yes, it
of
would be.
course.
No. I don't debate the talent and the concern that talent would. I just don't trust him. I trust him to
come on,
implode
man.
things. Man.
Okay,
You're
well, we're
gonna
not
TO
gonna-
the guy. You're
we're
gonna
not gonna-
TO the guy.
we're
He's
not
a
gonna
cancer in
trust-
the locker room.
We're not going to trust him
No.
anywhere.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
That's true. Yeah.
Then, I mean, if we're talking about talent, if we're talking about playing on the court and building a team, I'm going to trade Granger and whatever the hell they want
Yeah.
for Rondo and
Yeah.
put him on. You put Rondo at the one, and you got the rest of that team still together
Mhm.
with
That'd be a
Hibbert and
monster.
West and
Be a monster.
what's his name? The Dragon,
Paul George.
Dragon Chiquito, Paul George. That'd be that's a good basketball team.
Oh
now.
yeah,
No.
that would be a
they're-
juggernaut.
Their bench is still weak,
Yeah,
right.
but that's a good starting
I'm trying
five.
to think of what point guards are available because I'm not sure Boston would trade
Jason
Rondo.
Kidd.
Well, they tried. They were trying to package Rondo.
They were,
He
but at
retired.
this point, you're only left with Rondo on that team because you're losing your old guys. Your old guys got another year or two,
right.
and what else you got after that?
Well, I mean,
In CP3 up for free agency?
Yeah,
now?
he's
Yeah.
available.
he is, but I don't think that's a place where you land. I think that's a place where you get traded.
Well, you
David
could-
West went there,
what-
but David West he didn't have many
he
options.
could reunite himself with David West. You can get his bird rights by a sign and trade, and if you can make it,
I think
beautiful enough, that's a scary one.
I think the pieces that they're going to build around for the future, and it's obvious because, I mean, when these two guys went going, the rest of the team just fit into places, Paul George and Hibbert.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you just keep those two guys there, I mean, if Hibbert's able to score like that and Paul George is able to be efficient like he is, especially from three-point land and then defensively,
He wasn't in Game 7.
right.
No.
Yeah, he had a
He
blanket.
was
He had a blanket thrown over
erased.
him.
LeBron erased that MFer.
Yeah, so, I mean,
Rosito.
it's easy to look. I mean, it's easy to look back now and say Indiana's the greatest threat to Miami because we just played them in the Eastern Conference. But if you look at the whole landscape as of right now in the East, I think Miami might go 4 times to the
No,
Eastern
I
Conference
think they
Finals.
will. The two that you are concerned about is Indiana because they're the biggest matchup problem.
Right.
And then if I remember, I think Chicago has a lot of cap room coming up because they can amnesty Boozer for money, and they have some guys coming off the books. If they can stack the deck on their side, they'd be the next one because they're also a pain in the ass.
Right.
Again, you know what? I think you're right. I think they are a pain in the ass. I think they are a very good basketball team. I think the same thing happens to them that just happened to Indiana.
No, absolutely. I have no. They're not. I don't think they're actually gonna take Miami down. But if you're looking for who are the biggest pain in the asses, it's those two teams.
It'll make it difficult. It'll give them a 6-game series, a 7-game series. But at the end of the day, when push comes to shove and they have to win the game, you still have the best player on the court. And if you're still surrounded with Dwayne Wade, who's a top 10 player, if he still is at that point.
If he's healthy.
If he's healthy, I think he is.
Is he?
I think he is.
If he's healthy,
you got to go with that. I mean, you either saying that he's lost. He's gone from, let's say, top 10 to bottom 10, or now bottom 10, maybe top 50.
No, he's better
in
than
2 months 10. Because the for the past this whole year, his average this year was 18 or 19 points.
Right.
54, 53%.
No, highest shooting percentage of his career. I got you.
So I don't think in 2 months, unless you're injured, I don't think in 2 months you're going to decline that much.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be injury. It's got to be
his body. He's got no explosion to his steps, which is something they kept harping on, that he could not get around people the way he usually would, outside of those majestic Euro steps.
Oh,
which
how great was that?
Just watch the guy when he goes to the rim. When he goes to the rim, then he's okay. When he doesn't go to the rim, there's something wrong with him.
Yeah.
When he's settling for 7 or 8 outside jumpers,
when it looks like he's probing because he doesn't have a choice,
right?
That's when his leg's not working. You know that Euro step is good when immediately me and Carlos are texting each other about it. Just immediately go, whoo!
Right.
Woo!
That was nice. That was nice.
So going then to the future, to this series up ahead, San Antonio, I mean, I know they're a better matchup than Indiana's, but they're still a great team. I mean,
they are very good.
Tony Parker.
They're playing 3 Hall of Famers, guys.
Yeah.
They're playing 3 Hall of Famers.
Tony Parker is, I think he's more dominant to his team than Chris Paul is to his team.
I agree 1,000%. I am not. You know what?
Not who's better.
No,
I think
dominant. The thing is that I feel like without Chris Paul, nothing else works. I think they still have ways to work in San Antonio. Not saying it works well, but the whole show shuts down without Chris Paul. Because then what the hell's Blake Griffin?
Well, I think
what the hell's DeAndre
I think it's
Jordan?
the same thing in San Antonio. I think without he's the only guy that creates on their team.
Well, he creates
outside of Manu Ginobili coming from the bench.
He
here and
dribble
there.
penetrates. He hits that medium range jump shot.
Yeah.
He defends pretty well for a guy who is not known as a defender. He's an overall. He's an outstanding.
He's
point guard.
great.
Really good.
He's great.
He's an outstanding point guard, and I do think that he is more valuable to what they do than Chris Paul is to what they do over there. They haven't had that success. Chris Paul is a great point guard. He can go coast to coast. He can Euro step it. He can put it between his legs 7 times with one hand without dribbling it. All those things are pretty. Mm-hmm. But how efficient is he, and what does he do for his basketball team? I think the difference is monumental between the two when you put Parker on one side and you put Chris Paul on the other. I think Parker does the things that need to get done to win a basketball game. He may not be flashy, but he wins basketball games.
I'll tell you what, it sort of is the same scenario where against Indiana there was really 1, maybe 2 guys that you disliked. Against Chicago, you disliked people. Jennings put that on himself when he said he was going to beat Miami in 6 or whatever it was. Boston had their guys. New York has their guys. San Antonio is almost to the point where you like them. Like I don't think there's somebody where I'm going into the series going, man, I really dislike that guy. Even the annoying guys like Leonard and Bonner, like those annoying role player guys, those are normally the ones that get under your skin.
Right.
I kind of just like that. They're just good guys. I don't feel like Boris Diaw. Is anyone gonna hate Boris Diaw?
No, and you're right, because Leonard's one of those guys that'll stick a 3 when you hit and you least expect it and say, "Damn, that scrub hit a 3."
Yeah.
But you know what? They interviewed him and he said, "These are the world champions, the best team in the league, and we're coming in here to play them hard and compete." He didn't trash talk. I'm going to shut down LeBron, and you're right. I think you're right. They are a good basketball team. They don't have issues. They don't have guys that are loud and boisterous.
They had one.
They just play basketball.
They had one, and they cut his ass fast. They had Steven Jackson.
Oh, right.
Well,
and now they have T-Mac.
They have T-Mac.
Which has been silent since his return from China.
Que festa la negra esa.
Even the coach, Popovich, you like.
Yeah,
love
I-
Popovich.
You gotta like
I
Popovich.
love even when he's grumpy Pop. When
It's
he's grumpy
hilarious.
Pop
He's
or
a-
sarcastic Pop.
he's a
It's
great coach.
wonderful.
Yeah.
He's a great coach. He is. He is a
that
great coach.
Sneaky smile as he hacks Shaq to start the season.
That smooth skin he's got.
between each crevice, I guess.
Tim Duncan, DNP, old.
Luna Crater.
And these guys have won 4 titles in 5 years. That's pretty much a dynasty. I mean, 4 titles in 9 years. Excuse
Yeah.
me.
Right.
That's a dynasty. These guys have been around, all 3 of them together.
And you know what? And they've been close. I mean, I know they lost in the first round a couple years back against Memphis, and last year they lost to Oklahoma
Yeah.
City. But those were number 1, number 2 seeds in the West.
They've been perennially very, very good for the last 10 years. And that's impressive. That's impressive when you keep that kind of a run going. You were just talking 5 minutes ago about let's enjoy what we got because we don't know how long it'll last.
The
That's a big deal, man.
problem that I see with San Antonio is matching up. You know, we keep talking about on the radio over here. It keeps talking about all the matchup problems we have with Parker. The problem is that they're going to have a hell of a time guarding us.
If
They
Dwayne's
played
healthy. I think if Dwayne's healthy.
But
Well-
even if he's not, I don't think they present the challenges to him defensively that are going to wear him out.
Yeah,
so
they're-
he'll be
Right.
better on.
No, because Leonard is just as good as Jimmy Butler. I mean, he might not be as good as Paul George defensively.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That I think he's going to have a little less of a burden defensively, and he'll be better on the offensive side. The biggest matchup problem really is Parker, because you don't know how Wario and Evil Norris Cole are gonna deal with this.
Hey, remember, at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, if it's the fourth quarter or they're close, they're gonna stick number 6 on them and shut
Yeah,
them down.
no, absolutely.
They'll throw the blanket on him
the
and he's
eraser.
done.
LeBron,
You know what's funny?
The eraser.
Yeah.
they haven't played the starting lineups haven't played against each other since 2011.
Right.
And in 2011, they played 2 games. They played in San Antonio, and the Heat got blown out by 30 points.
And they played here.
And they played here, and San Antonio got blown out by 30 points. So, no sense. What I was saying before was that if you go by, I mean, they're playing in the West, so the defense is not like it is in the
It's
East.
non-existent.
Okay, so but Oklahoma gave them hell last year, and pretty much, well, they won 1 game,
Right.
you know, and Oklahoma is not as good as Miami. I don't think. I'll be honest with you. I'm expecting 5 games, 6 tops. No way it's a game 7.
What's going to be interesting is this is the first time as Miami as a franchise, they're going to be the host in the finals. Because against Dallas twice and against Oklahoma City, they had that cushion of we got 3 games at home.
Yeah, well, you know what? I actually like that. I think the 2-3-2 benefits Miami
At being home, being the
home team because I think without question San Antonio must get a game here.
Yeah.
If it goes 2-0 back there, they're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Because they're going to win one. The Heat are at least going to win one there.
Yeah.
That means it's 3-2 coming back.
It's not easy to win in San Antonio.
Yeah, but you're not losing 3 straight games there.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
The Heat is
are
not losing 3 straight games.
There's
They're
no
not.
there's no way the Heat are losing 3 straight games. They haven't lost 2 straight games since January.
Yeah,
Right.
They're
Since
not
I was-
losing.
That's
Since I was 2.
They're not losing 3 straight games. They're not. That I mean, I'll
Isn't that scary? They haven't lost back-to-back games.
yeah, that's terrifying for the teams that are
Yeah.
trying to beat them.
That's pretty scary.
So you know, if San Antonio doesn't get one of these 2, they're in a whole lot of trouble.
Yeah.
They're already
They're done.
They're
done.
I'll call the series if it's 2-0.
Yeah.
I will call the series.
Well, it starts tomorrow, 9:00 start.
Isn't
No.
that it's horrible?
Freaking man, I
Thank
gotta
God
go
I
to
don't
work.
have to work.
All the scheduling for this entire postseason has been terrible.
It has.
I've felt it.
You want
Days off.
You want
and-
worse? Isn't game 2 on Sunday at 9?
No, Sunday at 8. Sunday's the only time that's at 8.
Ugh.
Every other time is at 9.
Ugh.
Those midweek games for people with real jobs.
Yeah.
That's
that's got to
brutal.
be
Because
difficult, man.
it won't end, especially if you want to watch any of the post game. It won't be until bed 12:45.
Well, the problem is, at least for me, I cannot go to bed after watching a game. I cannot fall asleep.
It takes a while, right?
It takes a while to calm down. So, well, you know,
We'll see what happens. We're going to go to break. We're going to come back. Trying to get a hold of Larry. He hasn't contacted me back. Either way, we're going to discuss the steroid and the performance-enhancing drugs coming out of Miami. A couple Miami guys from here linked to it, and we'll get to all that. Game of Thrones. Looking forward to that. That'll be later in the show. So much more. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right
Put a
back.
soul in your eye through your skull.
Hello, my name is Teal Carlos, and I'm here to talk to you about draftism. What is draftism? I'd like to speak to you about a non-friend of mine. Jeff not only has draftism, but he has the most severe form of draftism. Draftism stupidus, the cruelest form of the syndrome.
Well, it just takes a lot of smart people putting together a plan. There's no doubt about it. I didn't come up with this plan.
Those diagnosed with DSS have a reduced level of recognition, a lack of cognitive skills, and the lack of ability to recognize NFL talent. They are to vision, planning, and hope what Al-Qaeda is to peace, love, and happiness. DSSers, as they're referred to in the sports world, will proclaim on Hard Knocks that their team is loaded with 4, 5s, and 6s at the receiving corps. And then he trots out Bubba, the shrimp boat captain from Forrest Gump, Mr. Agnew, as the star tight end of the future.
Tremendous athlete, very fast, great kid, very smart.
Then Jeffrey is shocked when Bubba fails like Eric Kumaro or Jackie Shipp. Let me explain. DSSers look at the War Room draft board and see a kaleidoscope of letters, names, and positions. Unlike Belichick, Wolf, Polian, and Ozzie Newsome, who see players' strengths and weaknesses. DSSers see the boards through the dark prism of fellow DSSers like Spielman, Al Davis, and Matt Millen. Draftism stupidus syndrome personified.
You know, that word keeps coming up again.
For most GMs, owners, fans, the draft is a time of optimism, hope, and excitement. Alas for Jeff, it's a time of despair, fear, and apprehension.
I never go into a draft thinking that I have to address needs.
That's where DSS takes him, into the bowels of draftism stupidus hell. Folks, this is for real. I wish I was making this up. If you have any doubt, watch Jeff's interviews, or better yet, review the Dolphins' draft history. This is a real tragic disease. It's an epidemic of monumental proportions.
You know, I really haven't put a lot of thought into it, obviously.
Damn that draftism stupidus. Unfortunately, Jeff has shown no sign of life without DSS. To the contrary, he's hell-bent on heading into the deep, dark tunnel of DSS despair, and he's taken Ross and D with him along for the ride.
I think he has the knowledge, the desire, and is smart.
So please, be part of the solution. Help Jeffrey avoid a calculated, systematic lapse into the deepest, darkest recesses of draftism stupidus syndrome 2013. This brutal, insensitive, Christmas-stealing Grinch of a disease must be eradicated. And here's how you can help. Grab a 3x5 index card and using large black block letters, write the name of any, and I repeat, any NFL player in the draft. And mail it to Stamp Out Draftism Stupidus Syndrome. Quote, Jeff, unquote. Care of Miami Dolphins, Draft, 7500 Southwest 30th Street in Davie, Florida. Or you can log on to www.stampoutdraftismstupidussyndrome.net. Remember, folks, your guess is as good as Jeff's.
Of course, all my draft choices are going to make it.
This has been a public service announcement brought to you by The Sports Table.
Buscando como un loco por el mundo y sin ti ya no aguanto un segundo. Alguien venga, dígamelo ya, si la han visto por aquí o la han visto por allá. Porque la busco, yo la busco y no la encuentro. Ya yo quiero que llegue ese momento en que yo le pueda decir que sin ti
I thought, you know, I was wondering whether you're going to play, because I know the other guy. I was like, he's going to play the stuff.
No, he does.
He actually got a bunch of songs.
Yeah, welcome back to the show. Woo! I told you he had free reign.
Yeah, he did. I was going AWOL on this one.
He asked though, which is I appreciate it.
Yeah.
You're gonna do it anyway, but
Do you realize how hard it would be for me to stick to one album in Spanish, which I might not understand half the words that are being said to me?
At least the same artist. I mean, you guys got on me because I played the same artist, different songs from different records.
Right. I told you free reign.
Yeah.
I would have to tend to agree with George on this one.
Thank you.
I've absolutely
I'm pretty bothered by the fact that you couldn't pick 4 Celia Cruz songs.
Yeah.
Look, all right, here's the thing about Celia Cruz. I enjoy listening to it, but I judge also by whether I can dance well to it. And Celia Cruz is just an awkward salsa experience for me.
Okay.
It just never quite
Julio
right.
Iglesias.
That's because you haven't heard any of her old 1960s.
I'm sure I have at
The
like a
black and-
birthday
the
party
black
with
and
my
white stuff.
grandparents
Oh,
playing
right.
it, and
The old Celia Cruz
the
stuff.
old black and white stuff.
Yeah.
When you're in your 20s.
Oh, not even that. Late teens, man.
Well, listen,
Late teens.
we have sort of an adjustment, an audible in our show. We were supposed to have Larry on to talk baseball. There's breaking news, apparently. There's some not so good news. We'll get to that. I'm trying to get in contact with maybe Diz. So he
Are we
going
gonna
to
trash Larry for not showing up?
Somebody, man. We got to talk to somebody. We get
Trash.
Oh no, yeah. We'll trash him because I mean the guy, he goes and he comes. He said he was gonna play dominoes with us. Never showed.
Never showed.
He said he was gonna come on the show with us.
Never showed.
No response. Not only to me but to you too, Theo.
He hasn't
You
replied
guys are
yet.
like this.
He hasn't replied yet. Well, he did. He did reply to the Dominoes last Saturday. We were gonna play.
Yeah.
Oh, we
of
see
course.
priorities.
By the way, he told me some information. He's gonna have a dominoes tournament the weekend before 4th of July, where he said prepare. So a heads up, sports table.
He's inviting us.
Yeah, well, it's gonna be an official. Like they're gonna promote it on the show. He's gonna promote it on his website.
Oh, okay.
An official dominoes tournament. Now we've never done that before.
No, we haven't, but that's a spectacular idea, and we go with our sports table shirts and our
for
sports table hats, and we take out and we propaganda.
Are you guys gonna be on the same team, Alan and George? Because I think you guys will work well.
I
together.
feel like George wouldn't talk to me after the tournament.
Are you retarded?
Yeah, I'd probably get that the entire game.
No, bro. It'll be George and Raul, and
but it's gonna be. I mean, that's gonna be fun. I've never done domino tournament like official against strangers or money or anything like that. I mean, I don't know if you have.
No, I haven't either. Well, you know what? I did do at Walker Park in Hialeah. We had a dominoes room in the back, and little old guys would sit there and play all day long.
Yeah.
And I spent many an afternoon getting paid $30 an hour to play dominoes.
Really?
Oops, I shouldn't say that, should I? How the hell with them? They can't do anything about it now. Yeah, I played dominoes and got paid to play dominoes. And
Wait. So what was the situation? You were working where?
in City Hialeah when I was as a director.
Oh.
So
okay.
at Walker
Okay.
Park, I'd just walk my behind back there and play dominoes with the old guys from 1 to 3, 1 to 3:30.
Oh my god.
Spectacular!
I thought my
time.
job was a scam playing video games.
We had fun. We had a good time. Those old guys are fun.
I mean, I watch Netflix. That's probably the extent of what I can do, but I can't do that.
I did that
Especially
too.
not at that rate. God, leave. Am I kill for that?
I can do whatever I want.
That's
Yeah,
true.
he
too.
I just don't get paid if I do whatever I want.
Oh, have you ever played? I mean, because you're like the domino man. Have you ever played for money or played like in a
No.
tournament or played against?
No.
That's gonna be interesting.
That's
man.
gonna be fun.
I'm going to be honest with you. I get bored
When
when
do
I
you
play
ever-
dominoes.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I get.
but
I
not
get.
with us. And not
Oh,
with
No,
you're
no,
gonna
because when
LeBron it? You're
when
gonna
I when
LeBron
I
it,
play
go
with
through
you
the
guys,
motions?
I don't care if I lose or win. Let me take that back. Most of the times, I don't care if I lose or win. But when I play with my dad and my brother, they are.
It's too intense.
No, it's intense. But I start paying attention to the game, and I might play a couple of games where I pay attention, and then after that, I forget. I can't.
ADD kicks in.
ADD, ABB,
All the alphabet.
the whole alphabet kicks in.
You can only stay focused so long.
Yeah, I get bored. I get bored of it. I do.
That's the way I feel about poker. I love playing poker, but I can only play poker for like an hour and a half, or like bowling.
No, I have played
Doesn't
poker
it-
for money.
Doesn't it get to the point where everybody just goes all in because they're tired of playing?
Oh yeah, for sure. when it gets down to the head to head, the one versus one, that's the worst. I'm like, can we just call it a draw? I'll split it with you. Like I don't want to play for another hour and a half, just going back and forth. That's the worst.
Yeah.
I fold.
I don't know. Dominoes for me, and it'll be a good test because I mean we all can play, so it'd be good like to compare ourselves against other people. I mean, I've always kind of wanted to do it, not really, but now this would be a good chance to do it.
Yeah, you've played with my dad though.
I played with your dad before, yeah.
My dad is really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really, and I'm being as unbiased as I can.
You're not being a homer.
I'm not being a homer. My dad is really, really good. My dad sits down behind you, and not playing himself, just watching, and he can tell you what everybody played in a game.
Which features? Wow.
Does he have slogans like you have slogans, or is that just your own thing?
No, they're all his.
They're all his?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. That would be amazing to watch.
Yeah.
Just put Raul on that table with you, your brother, and your dad, and just have Raul. I won't watch.
No.
I won't
See, my dad,
you know what?
Sit there and watch.
I would pay admission for that.
Well, my dad, if he doesn't have a problem if you don't know how to play, he doesn't get upset. If he's playing with somebody who doesn't know how to play and says, I don't know how to play. When you tell him I know how to play dominoes and you play with him, he'll get on you like white on rice. I mean, he throws fichas. He gets pissed, man.
Well, that sounds like Raul then, because Raul knows how to play.
No. He'll know right away that Raul doesn't know how to play.
Oh, well, if he says it, what's the difference?
No. I mean, he's got to say it, and you got to know somewhat how to play. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But when he does, he
He's serious about his dominoes.
Oh, he is.
Are you gonna take him? We should take all the people. We should take all the deals and just completely.
I'll take that.
Cover the whole
Georgie,
all the brackets.
Georgie, we'll take Georgie.
Oh my God!
And his bridges.
Everybody, man.
Georgie and his bridges.
I want to see him build a public bridge and see what happens. The first time he tries to build a bridge,
bro,
with a 67-year-old Cuban,
he's gonna shoot him right there.
He's gonna get shanked on the side of the left.
right there with an ice pick.
And then they break it off. Click.
Yeah, take that back to New York.
All right, well, this is what we're going to do. This was a short segment. We're going to get into baseball. Later in the show, we're going to get into Theo Carlos' segment. We still have a lot to do. Game of Thrones is next, though. We're going to go to break. We're going to wait for Phil to contact us back. We're going to get into Game of Thrones heavy.
We're not going to have the important Marlins announcement?
No, I mean, we'll save that for the baseball stuff. I feel like Domino's, this
Yeah.
was like a good little... This is what you call when you're up against the break in radio, when you had a long 20-minute segment and you need sort of like a
little filler.
A little 5-7 minute segment just to get to the next break so you can be in. That's what this was. So we'll go to break. We'll come to back. By the way, that never happens on the Amigo and Dish show. Never. I'll be honest with you. If you're going to listen to the Amigo and Dish show, the first hour is where you'll get most of your listening because he'll go on a rant. Today, apparently there was like some big feud between Sid and Larry and Diz.
Oh, Sid's been
Hey, I didn't know.
Larry.
I didn't know Sid was on 640.
Yeah, he's been there.
I had no idea.
He's been ripping Larry for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and Larry's been complaining about it. He's had enough, and Diz finally took over and just completely the whole show. The whole first hour and 15 minutes was about that whole feud. And they had one break the whole first hour.
Holy Toledo! So
Yeah,
the last hour was all break.
Yeah, exactly. Backloading 7-6-minute breaks. So they don't tend to sort of space it out, which is where you want to because it's easier to listen to.
Right.
So, but here, that's what we do. We're gonna go to break. We're gonna come back again. We're gonna have this guy. Let me see if I can find his name. Phil Bicking. Hopefully, he's as insightful as George and Alan and me and Theo Carlos are on this show. We'll get to Game of Thrones next.
Ba-da-bum-bum, ba-da-bum-bum.
And now we play the Game of Thrones
When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die.
with Chris
Cut off his manhood and feed it to the goats.
There are no goats, half man.
We'll make do.
Carlos.
Bow before your king. Bow, you shits.
Alan.
You're gonna say something clever. Go on, say something clever.
And George.
Has anyone ever told you you're as boring as you are ugly?
It's got all the action, dragons, and naked chicks you can handle.
Winter is coming.
Woo! Boy, oh boy, was that an episode to come off. God. Game of Thrones, Theo Carlos, you were right. It ramped itself up, and it finally reached its climax. Where I'm expecting there's only one more episode left in the season.
It could be more climatic.
You almost reached your climax when Rob died.
Listen, there was a couple times this season where I have. So we are joined by a very special guest. Phil Bicking is on with us. He's the creator and editor of winteriscoming.net. It's a website. It's got blogs, podcasts, and it's got all the up-to-date info on Game of Thrones. Phil, you there?
I'm here. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Thanks
Our
for coming
pleasure.
on the show. First of all, what do you think of the intro? I mean, I tried to because this was the start of season 3, so there have been a bunch of great lines in season 3 that when we do our next intro is in there. But I mean,
it was good. It was clever. I liked it.
No, I appreciate it, man.
I like the quotes you highlighted, especially the Tyrion.
Yeah.
Tyrion quote.
Is-
What would make do?
Is he the favorite character amongst all fans? I feel like he's the fan favorite out of all the characters that are there.
I would say, he's definitely up there. Him, Daenerys, the Khaleesi, she's another popular one. Jon Snow. Unfortunately, one of my favorite characters was Robb Stark.
Mine too, my man.
That didn't end so well.
Oh, no, it didn't. It didn't end well at all.
Mine too, my man. So, just give us an outlook on what do we witness? I mean, they classified it as the Red Wedding. It was the nickname given to the episode. I mean, what happened?
Well, I mean, basically, Robb, he won all the battles, but he lost the war. He made a huge mistake. He married for love instead of honoring his oath, and it came back to bite him in a big way. And so it doesn't look good for the Starks now.
And you think, Phil, this is Carlos, you think that was the motivation behind what the phrase did? Because we've been going back and forth trying to figure out what the motivation behind the assassination was. You think it was all just honor, or you think that Frey's got something in the works or something that he's trying to do with the Lannisters?
Yeah, I think maybe it was a little bit of both, because if you remember earlier in the season or in the series, Catelyn talks about how Walder Frey is known as the late Walder Frey, because during the rebellion he didn't commit one way or the other until he realized who was going to win, who was going to win the war.
Right.
And it seems like he probably is doing the same thing here. He kind of laying low, and then when he realized, okay, the Starks are pretty much screwed, the Lannisters are going to win this, then he threw his side in with the Lannisters. He went with the winning side.
Kind of hedging his bets.
That's an interesting point.
Yeah. So, and he was also able to kind of get revenge, I guess, on Robb, or make him, pay the price for what he did. So it was kind of 2 for 1 for old Walder Frey there.
Do you think the Lannisters were in contact with him? Because we know when the line was said that our regards are given from the Lannisters, so they were somehow involved. But do you think it's the money that the Lannisters bring along with the revenge of Robb not marrying his daughters? Was that sort of another exterior motive that led to this event?
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't really think about the money factor, but that could definitely play into it. But if you notice, Tywin this season, he's been kind of just laying low a little bit there in King's Landing, but he has been writing a lot of letters. He's been doing a lot of writing.
That's true.
So you kind of put 2 and 2 together, and you wonder, maybe he's writing to someone about, what he might be able to, who he might be able to convince to kind of join his side, so to speak. And I think they might give us a little more detail about that this coming up, this season finale.
I can't wait for Sunday.
So, I have to watch to see exactly how it all
I cannot wait.
out. But
Let me ask you this: have you read the books? Are you one of those fans that read the books and now looking at it through a different perspective of watching it on TV?
Yeah, I did. I read the books about 6-7 years ago now. And then I started my website kind of right when they first announced that they were going to be making the books into a TV show, because I was just so excited because I love the books. I thought I'd make for some great TV. So I kind of know, what's going to happen and know a little bit. I don't know everything. There's a few things that they've changed, like, for example, during the Red Wedding, Robb brought his wife to the wedding, and she was actually the first one killed. And none of that happened in the books.
Right.
In the book, his wife stayed behind in River Run. She didn't come. She didn't get killed. So that was kind of a shock to me. But a lot of the things that happened, I kind of already expect. But it's still a lot of fun to watch and see how they film it and how they adapt it.
No, that's the perspective I see. This is Carlos again. I've read all the books also, and so
cool.
So I'm the only one here who knows what's happening.
Oh yeah, so you kind of have to kind of
We've spent 14
keep things to yourself a little bit, right, when they're talking. And
we've spent 14 shows just looking at him, and he's just smiling at us as we like have theories
As
and
we
throw
guess.
them out there. And he's just looking at us very coy, like, no, I'm not
He's
saying
been
a
very
word.
good at sitting on his tongue because he hasn't said anything. I
Yeah,
was completely
he hasn't.
shocked each episode.
How does one
Oh,
sit on
but-
his tongue?
so you guys didn't expect this to happen at all, huh? You,
No,
man,
no.
Well, I did because I wander. I get curious sometimes. I wander into Wikipedia's, and I wandered way too far. But even then, like knowing Rob was gonna die, the way it happened, I spent the next day in shock. It was so good watching.
I got to be honest with you because out of all the families that had to kill my favorite character, Rob, and I mean, the hottest girl I thought, which was the wife, that's just my own personal
Silver
preference.
medal.
Yeah,
Silver
well,
medal.
I know everyone's got their own lady of the night, but for me, it had to be the phrase because they wear those bowling buffers on their heads. When you're trying to shine a bowling ball and it's going back and forth. That's what they wear on their head. And they're all ugly. I'm like, it had to be this family that had to strike down my man.
That's right, the House of Goobers.
Yeah.
Oh. It was just one of those things where I couldn't
they're
believe
kind of the hillbillies of Westeros.
Yes, it is. Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
That's good. That's good.
Okay, so we know that happened. So sort of give us a perspective of what the landscape is now. Because, we've been comparing this to a literal game where, Tywin is one of the main players of the game, and there are other characters. Rob used to be one. Ned was one. The North looks, completely obliterated.
Yeah.
Not only are all the crows gone, the Northern Army and their focal point is also dead with his neck slashed. So sort of where does this leave the game after what happened last week?
Yeah, the Starks are pretty much. They're pretty much out of it. Sansa is probably, they were calling her the key to the North, and that's why they had Tyrion marry Sansa, because now, for all intents and purposes, she's the heir to Winterfell, the heir to the North. We can also probably expect that House Bolton is going to become a major player. Bruce Bolton was the one who kind of, gave Rob the final stab in the heart there, and told him the Lannisters send the regards. So he obviously, is in cahoots with the Lannisters and made a move there, kind of a power grab, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're going to see House Bolton kind of come to the fore as a major player in the game. Obviously, the Lannisters are still in it. The Lannisters and the Tyrells are going to be interesting to watch that rivalry kind of continue on in the season finale, and then probably continue on into season 4. So I think those are going to be kind of the big families still kind of making a play. Then of course we can't forget Stannis. He's still kind of lurking,
right?
Lurking there, and hasn't quite given up his his quest for the Iron Throne. I think those are going to be the major plot lines, the major houses vying for the Iron Throne coming up next season.
Yeah, and I'm fascinated with the Tyrells and Highgarden because I see that that's a predominantly woman-dominated area with Marjorie and the old lady, and that looks like that's going to be a pretty strong power play with those two there.
Yeah, they're an interesting house. Definitely, kind of like the women run the house down there.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think Cersei especially kind of admires it in a way, but also is maybe jealous of the fact that, those ladies have a lot of power. And she's kind of still stuck in her father's shadow.
Yeah.
But they're an interesting house.
How bad did you feel for Arya? Because Arya, she saw her dad, lose his head, and I think once she saw that the wolf was killed, that she knows that her brother and her mother are probably dead, especially after the Hound.
And don't forget the symbolism in watching the wolf be taken down, and that's her sigil, and the house essentially has crumbled in front of her face too.
Right. So I mean,
yeah, that's a good point.
for Arya and to see for her to go through that, we thought she was emotionally imbalanced already. Imagine what she's gonna do when she wakes up with the Hound and the Hound telling her that you basically have no family now.
You're mine. I'm your family.
Yeah.
Yeah, and poor Arya, right? She's like, she's there when her father gets killed, and then so close, but then she's there at the twins, and her family gets killed. And it's like every time she gets close to someone else in her family, they get whacked.
Even Gendry, she was really close with Gendry, and then they just snatched him away.
Yeah,
the Butcher Boy.
Everyone she's close to, kind of
the Butcher Boy too. Yeah,
she keeps getting captured by all these rogues and bandits or whatever, and passed around basically, and just wandering the countryside with like nowhere to go, especially now.
Yeah, I was going to say, especially now.
Well, I think the thing I'm seeing is that her and Bran, I almost view them as wild cards coming up, because you got Bran as a super warg, and you had that hovering threat coming out of season 2 of when does Arya find a man from Braavos and turn the coin over looking for Jaqen. I'm very curious because they present something completely different from the general politics amongst the big families. And I just don't know what to expect out of those two. Maybe we're taking over a dragon?
You there, Phil?
What's that?
No, I mean, we're here with Phil Bicking. He's the creator and editor of winteriscoming.net. Phil, let me ask you a question. How many titles is Daenerys going to add to her name?
29.
Because if I feel like in each episode...
She's probably going to add a few more. I mean, before it's all said and done. She's still got to build up her army a little bit, I think, before she can come over to Westeros and maybe wait for the dragons to grow up a little bit. So
I mean, by the time they read her title, the dragons will be grown up because they keep adding. It's so long.
Yeah. She's. I mean, her story is, I think, fun to watch. I like the scenes we got this past episode with the three guys kind of going into the city and just like kicking ass.
Right.
That was good.
And, yeah, that was pretty cool to watch. But yeah, it is kind of more of a long game with her, where she's just kind of getting her army, waiting for the dragons to grow, kind of learning how to rule, learning how to lead, just getting herself in the best position so that when she comes over, she can just kind of lay waste to all of her enemies and take the Iron Throne.
Again, Phil Bicking from winteriscoming.net is on with us. Alan talked a little bit about it with Bronn being the super warg and controlling Hodor, but is that really that impressive? Because out of all the humans that are alive in Westeros, isn't he the most simplest one? I didn't find it that impressive,
man,
to be honest.
Anybody that can warg a Pokemon named Hodor, you're doing something good.
Oh man.
Yeah, I guess if you're going to take over someone's mind, you got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah. Training wheels, right?
We'll move up to his brother later.
Start with Hodor, and then work your way up, and eventually, you can take over, I don't know, Tywin or somebody.
Oh my! No one can take over Tywin, man. That man is
impossible.
Untouchable.
He'll just stare at him. The warging will be gone.
Yeah, that's impossible.
Let me ask you this then, in regards to Tywin and what's left of the South. What do they do now that word's gonna come out that their war is over, basically that their opposition is over? Do they go seeking the last Baratheon? I mean, what do they do next?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're probably sitting pretty there. They can kind of, maintain their position in King's Landing. Hopefully, fend off any attempts by the Tyrells to kind of seize too much power. Obviously, Marjorie's, still plan to be married to Joffrey, so she'll become queen. But Tywin's really running the show there. I mean, let's make no mistake. He's the one pulling the strings there. Obviously, he pretty much him, and I guess maybe Tyrion that can stand up to Joffrey. No one else can really stand up to him. And
That's true.
So Tywin's able to kind of, sit in King's Landing as Hand of the King and kind of basically rule the kingdom. And I expect that he'll continue to do that into next season.
Right, I agree with that.
Where are you from?
I'm from New Jersey.
Oh, that's right next door.
Yeah, go all the way down here from Miami.
So let's talk Heat basketball for a little bit then. What do you guys think?
All right, yeah.
I
sure.
mean, listen.
Can they take the Spurs?
Oh, I mean, for sure. I don't think that's a question when you have the best player in your roster. We got our own Tywin and the Lannisters down here. We don't got to worry about nothing.
Get Tywin. He's Drogo without an infection.
How do you feel about it?
I think, LeBron is LeBron. He's pretty much unstoppable. But every time I count the Spurs out, they always surprise me. I'm like, nah, they're too old. They can't do it. And then they just keep coming.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
It'll be a good series.
Yeah,
I think it'll be a good series.
There will be. It will be. Yeah, maybe 4-1.
Thanks for that, Theo. All right, we got a couple more questions, Phil, about Game of Thrones. Again, that's what you're on for, so I appreciate that. Look at the writing and sort of like the arc that HBO did. Jon Snow, when he's coming up, learning to be a crow, he's the smart one. He's the one that's fearless and everything went his way. And then Sam, sort of, he's the frumpy friend that, he was bumbling and nothing happened.
Yeah. Cowardly.
If you look at the two girls that they're with, Jon Snow, he climbed the wall. He did awesome, and he gets back with, "You don't know anything, Jon Snow." And then Sam, all he says is, "Look, this is the wall," and I read a couple books. And then she's like, "You're a wizard." What? I don't get. I don't think that Jon Snow got the right straw when he went for the lot there.
Yeah. Well, Ygritte is, she's fiery. She doesn't take much crap from anybody, let alone a crow. And Gilly, that's, she's Sam's kind of, I guess, girl right now. She's, she had a pretty tough life growing up with that creep.
Yeah, right.
For a dad and apparently a husband.
Lover, husband. The whole 9 yards.
So, yeah. So right now she's just like, can't imagine that any man can be so kind to her. So I think she's like in shock that there's somebody out there that's willing to help her and help her situation. But I like those two together. They make for a nice couple and a little bit more, lighthearted, I guess, than a lot of the other goings on and a lot of the other characters. Those two are just, they just want to get away from danger and live a happy life together.
Yeah, survive.
Yeah, as long as he's got his dragon glass, he'll be fine.
He doesn't have his dragon
Which he
glass.
left. He left
That dummy.
Can you believe he left the dragon glass?
I was like, what is he doing?
Right.
He's got to go back.
The key.
I don't know. I mean, maybe he's got more.
survival.
He's got a lot of, room, I guess, in his Night's Watch gear there. Maybe he's got like a few more daggers tucked away.
Let's hope so.
That's
in
true.
case some more White Walkers come in.
He must really like this girl because he's never fought anybody. He hasn't.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Bobble, remember what they said? The girl talked to him.
That's true. She did give him attention.
She took the thimble. She took the thimble.
Imagine when he gets some.
Isn't that a kiss in Peter Pan? That's romance, man. That's romance.
Yeah.
Couple more questions, Phil, before you get out of here. Appreciate this again.
No problem.
What should we look for, not only in this, like the storyline and for this next episode, the finale? They always tend to end it,
cliffhanger.
Yeah, Daenerys coming out of the fire with actual dragons. How did season 2 end? I always forgot how season 2
The White
ended.
Walkers.
Right, the White Walkers. I mean, it's going to be
surviving.
It's going to be one of those.
Yeah, him hiding.
It's gonna be one of those big impact things. What should we look for story wise in regards to this? How it ends, basically.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how they're going to end it because they did a little bit differently this season in that they took book 3 and they split it in half. So they really could kind of end it anywhere. But I would imagine that, like you said, it'll be kind of a big moment, a big cliffhanger, and it'll probably involve something supernatural. That's my guess, because that seems like that's kind of like what they've been ending it on each time.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that? What do you mean they split book 3?
Book 3 was so long and so packed with huge kind of game-changing events like the Red Wedding, which we just witnessed, that they, instead of condensing it all into one season, they basically are only covering like half the book for this season. And then season 4 is going to pretty much cover the second half of the book.
All right.
So right now they can kind of pick where exactly they're going to cut it off. I don't know. Obviously they got up to the Red Wedding, and then we'll see how much farther they go. But I would anticipate that the ending should be pretty exciting, and probably something supernatural. That's my guess.
Well, Phil, to the fans out there that are listening, and for us, what does sort of your website contain, and what do you cover on the website? That way, when we look for it or when we need a question, we know where to go to.
Yeah, absolutely. It's winterscoming.net. We're pretty much a one-stop source for anything having to do with Game of Thrones. So keep people up to date on casting news, filming when filming's going on, and then obviously during the season while it airs, we have recaps, we have interviews and videos and podcasts, and pretty much covering the show every which way from Sunday. So yeah, if you're a fan of the show or a fan of the books or both, like myself and Carlos, then certainly check it out. We'll keep you up to date on the show, and we'll keep the news coming, and keep enjoying just watching the show and having it all these shocking events.
And getting lost, really, because when you watch the world, you feel like you're a part of it. I mean, the way that they sort of describe the episode and the way that they do it visually, I mean, I get lost, and then when there's 5 minutes left in the show,
like, bang, it's over.
I get anxious because no, this can't be the end.
Yeah.
It seems to go by so fast. It's like an hour.
He does.
An hour long, and it feels like 10 minutes.
He does. I agree with you 100%.
So with that, Phil, we really appreciate you coming on to the Sports Table with us, and we look forward to what happens next Sunday and to the website and all the information you're going to give us.
All right, great. Well, thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun.
All right, thanks, crew.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bubble.
All right, bye-bye.
What are you doing, bro? The segment ain't over. What are you doing, bro?
What do you mean? What am I doing?
What are you doing?
Transition from Game of Thrones.
Dude,
hey, I had to ask him where he was from, man.
No, that's fine. But then you don't ask him. What do I care? What he cares about the show, man?
You couldn't even theme the Heat question. Like, what house do you think the Heat are? Are they Lannister?
I didn't talk about the Heat. I just asked him where you from.
You asked him, what do you think about the series? He asked us, what do you guys think? And then you said, what do you think? And then he goes on his Heat. Yeah, I think they're going to take it. Yeah, the Heat are good.
Well, there you
really?
Go. There you go.
Another Heat fan. We do have one in Jersey.
Yeah. If this was a regular segment, I would have ended it right there because I wanted more information out of him. I kept it going.
Kiss my butt.
That and the fact that we want to have him back sometime.
Yeah, man. What is that?
Don't just hang up on him.
Oh, my.
Well, I was going to keep on talking to him about not Games of Thrones, but what he does for a living.
Who cares? We came on for
George
Game of Thrones.
George is trying to build a relationship. He's trying to massage
you do that
the
off
relationship.
air.
No,
you do that off air, bro.
I'm sorry, man. I don't think the same way you guys do. I'm out there in freaking left field,
man. It was a great episode, and it was. I mean, this guy, he knew his stuff, and he gave different.
Alan knows more about the show than this guy. Alan started talking to him.
Look at this.
It's
yeah,
true.
Building relationship, right? Look at this.
It's true. Alan started talking to him. The guy didn't. It was
no.
like
He gave good points about the letters. I didn't even think about that. The letters that
and it's true.
Tywin was sending out.
Even in Herondale, he was constantly writing.
Right.
He was constantly writing. That's very true.
He's writing poems to
those are the little nuances that sometimes you don't catch until somebody
man.
brings it out.
The guy brought something. I think honestly, there were a couple points that we made that he was like, "Man, God, I didn't even think about that." I think we have a strong.
He was being nice, man.
We have a strong basis here. No, we do.
That guy's a geek. That's all he does is Games of Thrones.
So why do you care about what he knows about the Heat?
I wanted to see what he knew, man.
Segment over.
Bah.
Wacky Mohawk Rainbow Orange Birdman. Wacky Mohawk Rainbow Orange Birdman.
Wacky Mohawk Rainbow Armed Birdman. Hi, I'm Alan from the Sports Table, and thanks to a free agent signing, the Heat now have a Wacky Mohawk Rainbow Armed Birdman, and they are passing the fun on to you. Attract viewers to your Harlem Shake video. Make a splash at your next karaoke event. Keep Mike Miller company. Protect the rim. Confuse your Mohawk-hating parents. Cuban American, el gringo está loco. Flap your wings on the court, or just raise the roof. So whatever your Wacky Mohawk Rainbow Armed Birdman needs are, stay tuned to the Heat located on Biscayne Boulevard and discuss here on the Sports Table.
Welcome back to the Sports Table as Jorge coughs right into the mic. Bro, you're 2 for 2 today, man. You're 2 for 2. Jesus, man. We're back in the Sports Table. We just had a good segment with the guy from Game of Thrones, Phil, Theo George's best friend. And here we are.
You had a good segment.
I had a good segment. Theo Carlos
you
had a good
killed
segment.
the segment, bro.
I feel shattered and broken after this.
Jorge coughs right into the mic.
That's okay. We got a better segment coming on now.
All right, so we got Larry, the amigo from the Amigo in this show. On 940 wins. Larry, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Say my last name, bitch.
Larry Milian, the amigo.
I mean, you want to start there? What was that what happened today, bro?
Now, what's going on with that guy in the morning? That what's his name again?
It's Sidney Ferris Rosenberg.
Sidney Ferris Rosenberg.
Yeah, that's how they say it in Brooklyn. Sidney Ferris Rosenberg. He thinks it's funny for years. I mean, I worked with him at 790, and for years he thought it was kind of funny to disparage my last name. And I was taught that I'm supposed to have the thick skin and put up with it because that's radio, right? After many of his mishaps, including some of his open mouth insert foots and racist comments in the past, it started dawning on me that I should have let him, go down the road of calling me what he calls me. And he takes my last name, Milian, and he changes it out and uses an Italian word for the N-word. It's one of the most heinous and disgusting words you could possibly use, not just in the Italian language, but seriously, it's translated directly to that N-word, and not the one where you hear in rap songs. It's the one that's directly, derogatory and derives from that. And he thinks it's funny. He knows that I don't want him to say it. He knows that I don't like him to say it. So, I've been as clear as I can possibly be, and he continues to do it. So today he got his ass chewed out. And my next step is to do what Ali did to that boxer that one time. We refused to call him Ali and want to call him what his mama called him, Cassius Clay. That's why I'm going to beat him and tell him, hey, what's my name? What's my name? What's my name? Porque es recio como pingo tipo este.
And keep whooping his ass till he pronounces it right.
That's right. So certainly, I wasn't going to allow him to disparage my last name. I don't know how aware you are. My family, there's pride in my family. Everybody has pride in their family. Everybody has pride in their last name. My pride comes from Emilio Milian, who was a radio broadcaster for many years in Spanish radio in South Florida. Excuse me, April 30, 1976. He goes out to his car after having some choice words on his radio show for the Cuban government and Fidel Castro, and promptly they blow up his car. He's a victim of a terrorist attack. He loses both of his legs.
Yep.
After he survives that, he goes back on the radio for 20 more years to do the same thing. And, he died in 2001. He died a very proud man, and us Milians are very proud of what he represented with our last name.
And rightly so.
Road's named after him for all his good work. And then I got this freaking clown that comes on the airwaves who says he's the greatest. And I don't know what he's the greatest of, but he's the greatest son of a bitch I've ever met in my life, who doesn't have the decency to call someone correctly by their last name and at the same time offend all African Americans everywhere by using the word that he uses. He's a disgrace. He's an embarrassment. He continues to embarrass himself. And some point in time, he's going to embarrass an employer enough where he's going to lose his final job, and, well, I don't know what he's going to do. Maybe he'll have to take the over or whatever it is that he does to try to bet or make money. I don't want to go off on a tirade on him, but the bottom line is, one of the reasons I came on today is I know don't you have that Come Mierda segment? I think
yes, we do.
He's the unanimous winner today. But certainly I'm thinking this is going to get some press based on what I'm getting wind of here. And at some point, I know someone who says they're going to reach out to the NAACP and everything. This could get ugly before it gets good for him. And I don't think he realized what he did I'll say this: he messed with the wrong grasshopper.
Let's do it, man. You got the backing of the sports table with you.
I appreciate that. Thanks for letting me call him Un Come Piña, because that's what he is.
You got it, brother.
Well, Larry, I mean, for today's show, you're not the only one that's carrying this burden now. Your partner in crime, he took the flag and he went right at him, man. And
he went right at him, bro. He went right at him. I take my hat off to him because I had spent weeks in the studio trying to explain to them why I was so offended by this. And something triggered both of them today, and they realized what I was so offended about. And I mean, Diz has his own way. Diz has his own way of taking things. Hold on a second.
Yeah, because bro, he
has his own way of handling things, you know. And I respect anybody for the words they have to say and whatnot. But certainly, I was astonished at the approach. Probably not an approach I would have used. Not to
right.
I probably wouldn't have gone that route. But I saw early on what his point was. And what he did, Carlos, if you didn't hear it, is he said, okay, if it's okay to say things like this, and he made a couple of not slurs, but he made some comments of which those of the Jewish persuasion would be offended.
Yeah, a little
and by
anti-Semitic.
virtue of that, some people did get offended. And when
Right.
they came out to try to blast him for it, we cornered them and asked them, well, did you hear what he said about me? And they're all of them. Ask Chris, they're like, oh, well, that's Sid being Sid. You got to understand, he's crazy. You got to have thick skin, so it's okay, and you got to have thick skin when he says it. But then, you know, when you turn around and you say something that offends you, that you want to come out and then rag on Diz for saying that, I understood Diz's position, and that's exactly what he did. And let's see what happens tomorrow. I have a funny feeling this is gonna blow up.
Good for him.
Yeah. So I'm glad this got my back on that. At this point, I'm going to email you guys a statement that I wrote up, and you can see exactly how affected I am by this and how it bothers me, and hopefully we get a resolution to it. Like I said, if not, I'm going to have to Muhammad Ali his ass and beat him and say, what's my name, what's my name, what's my name, and one way or another, he's going to get the hint.
Larry, is he saying? Is he only talking about black people, or is he talking about Cubans too?
Well, here's the thing. There was other sound that I haven't even included, and that if this gets juicy, from that very 2-minute segment that he went off yesterday, he's making fun of Cubans about the pots and pans because of the Miami Heat.
Yeah, he's been doing that for a couple
days. He lives
days.
in a third world country, and he doesn't. He said some heinous stuff. I wanted to drive home the point of what, disparaging my last name and how it's offensive to African Americans. Let me tell you, you can take any of his podcasts and find a gamut of things that you can find not just offensive, but border on SEC violations. And enough is enough, dude. I mean, if no one's going to stand up for it, I'm going to stand up for it because he's using my last name. He's using Emilio Milian's last name. He's using Alberto Milian's last name. He's using my kid's last name. It's not a joke anymore, all right? And I don't disparage his name. I don't go on the air and talk about what a drug addict he is, what a gambling addict he is, what a piece of garbage he is. I reserve my opinions about him I say in good faith, because at the end of the day, none of us are perfect. But he's going to come out and he's going to make it a mission to try to be funny. And in the Sound Guys, he even comes out and says, I know he doesn't like it when I call him this, and then proceeds to call me it anyway. Like I said, some people told me he wanted to reach out to him, and he knew full well that he's not allowed to call me that. Not to mention, he knows what he's saying, and he's trying to play it off like he's being funny. And I think it's crass. I think it's insensitive. And it's deserving of all kinds of punishment. At the very least, my foot up his ass. So I'm waiting to see if he continues with the nonsense. And, obviously I'm not going to be able to take him out to the woodshed and whoop him. But certainly lawyers can get involved and community activists can get involved. And certainly if it's the wrong week for this to happen to Sid, when all of America's eyes are on South Florida and all of sports media is in South Florida. I think it's the wrong week for Sid Rosenberg to have some more negative press. So
Yeah.
It may actually be the right week for it. So
I find it amazing.
He's going to have to address it.
I find it amazing when Jewish people discriminate. And it should be amazing, because if anybody is being discriminated against and anybody could understand discrimination, would be the Jews.
Absolutely. And I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I was born in a Hasidic Jewish hospital where at the front of the hospital, the name of the hospital is written in Hebrew first. I was born in a Hasidic Jewish neighborhood and raised in a Hasidic Jewish neighborhood. And let me tell you something. I never had a problem. I never had an issue. All right? It was what it was. They had their religion, I had mine, and we all coexisted. They were my neighbors. They were my peeps until I came to Miami in 1980. So it certainly, I don't ever want to make it a Jews against, anything. I've never wanted to make it that. And I certainly found it interesting that Diz went that road. But the reason he went that road is because he literally cornered anybody that came out to defend him, because what are you going to say? You're going to get mad at something like that, but then not get mad at what he's saying? It's as insensitive as it can possibly be. Yeah. I'm sure tomorrow his cronies will come out and talk crap about Diz and talk crap about me. And honestly, I really don't care, because there's not really a crossover between his listeners and mine. But more importantly, since he doesn't have too many listeners to begin with, I'm not concerned about what he says on a show that nobody hears. So, I mean, I'm not making this a ratings warfare thing. I'm not making anything. What I simply want him is to stop being so freaking racist. And to be honest with you, if it goes too far tomorrow morning, I'm taking to the airwaves, and he should lose his job, bro. It's as simple as that. And if I've got to sit on a pedestal and talk about how wrong what he's saying is, and how it's wrong on every level, and how us as radio hosts don't have the liberty to say that, and neither should he, at some point it's going to wake up the ire of other people. And I'm telling you, African Americans, if the message is delivered and they get wind of this the right way, they're not going to be happy campers.
No, it'll definitely resonate with our community. Absolutely.
So I'm waiting to see what comes from that. I'm not trying to be a troublemaker, but it's my last name, and he says it right, or he gets my foot up his ass, and we're going to figure that out tomorrow.
Well, you said it, Larry, that in Miami sports right now, it's hot. You got the Heat in the finals, and I mean, the reason why we brought you on was so we can talk some baseball, because, dude, out of all the cities in the world, out of all the cities in the United States, the one that's going to bring down 20, Major League Baseball players, it's got to be out of Miami, right? Out of all the cities.
Yeah, buddy.
Were you surprised, Chris? Like, are you honestly surprised that absolute pandemonium, disarray, and anarchy is nested here in South Florida somehow, some way? I mean, it always there's a South Florida connection. Really?
No kidding.
I didn't already know. It's strange, and at the same time, it's disgusting again. I'm miffed that these guys were still having this conversation 10 years later. I thought we had gotten past all this, and I don't know if it's that Major League Baseball can't let it go, or if these guys are trying to find new and innovative ways to buck the system. Either way, my goodness, I can't believe we're back to this again, and shame on A-Rod 1,000 times. I think he shouldn't even play another game of baseball. Honest to goodness, it's a detriment to the game. It continues to come back and rear its ugly head. I think baseball needs to move past this, not go ahead and get revuelto en la mierda de nuevo. It's like, this is awful. This is awful.
Yeah, that's true. But Major League Baseball made this bed. I mean, Major League Baseball was stumbling and bumbling right after that strike. They got caught up in the home run contest, and they got caught up with Barry Bonds and Canseco and Sosa and Maguire. They knew then what was going on, Larry. They knew then. They didn't ask any questions because it was benefiting money. It was filling the seats. It was making them look good. And then all of a sudden it's become an issue that they haven't dealt with very well. And I know.
Remember Chicks Dig the Long Ball?
Yeah.
I mean, that was kind of their whole moniker.
That was exactly. That was one of the lines.
Like I'm defending Major League Baseball. That too was 15 years ago. And in understanding what's developed over the years with this story, you almost hoped several years ago when they instituted stricter testing rules and started giving out stiffer suspensions and really showed that it was a priority to make sure that they cleaned up the game. And some people were getting caught, but nonetheless, you figured the system was working. And some of the variables like the home run numbers leveled off, and some of the things that we were used to pointing, got to be steroids, got to be PEDs, it kind of dwindled down. For this to come up again, I think it's just not only a disappointment, but I don't know that baseball survives this if this is as big a scandal as it seems like.
Well, Larry, I mean, to give it a Miami flavor, it's this guy, Anthony Bosch, he's the main person that the MLB will be interviewing, and the investigation will be around we all know this guy. We've all seen this guy. He's everyone in blue martini. You know, he's the Miami guy with the button-up shirt and the rolled up.
Yeah.
No, dude, he's the Miami guy that deals.
But he's
with,
not Cuban?
I don't know if he's Cuban or not.
That's my only concern.
There's
man.
about 20 or 30. There's about 20 or 30 of those guys that have lunch at Cafe Abbracci every day. I know
There you
what you're
go.
talking
There you go.
man.
Exactly.
That's the guy that's going to be the Miami doctor from down here, the one printed from the internet. I mean, how is this guy the one that's bringing down A-Rod and Ryan Braun? And I don't know if you know, 7 hours ago, Sports World News just came out.
Hold on, Larry.
And they're linking to our number one guy from South Florida. They're linking it to LeBron, Pablo.
Have you seen that?
Really?
Yeah, have you seen that?
There was
I didn't get a piece of that one. We were busy ragging on Sydney.
There was a former employee that was working there, and apparently LeBron's agent would frequent that clinic, walking out with what he knew was to be the illegal substances, and it would be like titled under LJ or LB, and that's the person that's in question, and it's linked directly to LeBron's agent.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. I mean, I'll say this. You remember seeing the 2007 finals between the San Antonio Spurs and the Cleveland Cavaliers?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was pretty much cock diesel then, too. So maybe I'm being a LeBron apologist, but certainly I'm hoping that this isn't some sort of a mutiny or some sort of, lynch mob type of situation. You know, some of these guys have never even tested positively. This is just a testimony of some cat who's trying to save his hide. I have a theory about that, just point at Nevin Shapiro. If you get a guy who's trying to save his hide and owes, millions and hundreds of millions of dollars to people and may spend the rest of his life in jail, I'm going to take with a grain of salt whatever it is he has to say. Jody Arias, you take that with a grain of salt. Someone who has a purpose or a lie serves to be an advantage to them. I'm not so sure that I take what they say seriously. So, again, it's cool that LeBron's agent may be linked to this. That's all fine and dandy. But, I mean, since the day LeBron stepped into the league, he was a freaking physical specimen.
That's true. That's true.
So I don't, whatever. If they want to start doing this now, too, this becomes a lynch mob. This becomes an issue. And I'm disgusted by it. I'll be very honest with you. I thought this stuff had gone away already.
Well, you know what? One of the things that I wanted to see is I'd like to see Major League Baseball take this seriously. And I think that at the very least, the 100-game suspension starts that. But I don't want a 2- or 3-time offender to get a 100-game suspension. I'm looking for a 100-game suspension for the first time and the year for the second time. And after that, you're gone. You're no longer a baseball player. And I think that when they tighten those restrictions and they make you accountable for your actions, that's when baseball is going to get back to what it was when you and I were watching it.
But you know what's funny, Carlos, is that I don't think baseball's going to get to that anymore. I think in the same way, it's not really comparable, but you know how UN fans want to go back to the glory days?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it hurts me to think about it, but it'll never be the way it was. 83, 87, 89, 91, that's beautiful.
Never see it again.
That will never happen again, period.
Anywhere.
I'll tell you what, there's a better chance for UM to get back there than on baseball. I'm watching it right now. They got a game, Boston in Fenway. Half the seats are empty. Red Sox and Texas are playing. Baseball is dying. It's a dying. It is. It's not even close to what it used to be when we were in our 20s.
You know what happened too, man, is that things have changed, man. And look, the three of us, Carl. I mean, Chris is excluded in this, but the three of us relate in a way that Chris wouldn't understand. Chris comes from a technology age.
Right.
Sure, we may have iPhones, we may be getting used to the new technology, but we're old school cats. And if you remember, baseball back in the day was during a time where the internet didn't exist, and video games were named Asteroids and Space Invaders.
And
okay?
Super Pong.
You know what I'm saying? Like at Pong. We are so entertained so differently today than we were when we were kids. I see my 8-year-old who's, his technological savvy is where mine was maybe as a teenager, and I didn't have the same technology he does. it's a different world we live in. You know, we had Encyclopedia Britannica. These kids have Google.com.
What's that? What's an encyclopedia?
You know what I mean? So this is the point. So baseball was flourishing in a different world.
Well,
this world now is the one of instant gratification, of ADD, where unfortunately, even as adults, we've changed in how our attention is grabbed and how long it's grabbed for. We see it in radio ratings all the time. You know, time spent listening is not something that like it was 10 or 20 years ago in radio. So it's because as individuals, as people, as a society, our attention span is less, and we need that instant gratification. We need to be doing 10 things at once. The ticker we see on ESPN, that never existed before.
Right. Yeah.
You know, all this stuff now is a part of our everyday life. And unfortunately, the one thing that didn't speed up in sports was baseball.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean,
basketball's always been a quick game. Football's always been football. Baseball, 3.5 hours to watch this can be dreadful sometimes.
Well, try going to a stadium. I mean, when we used to go to a stadium and be, sit back, kick back, relax, watch the game, have a couple beers, and talk between innings. Now you can't talk in between innings because the music is blaring. They got some kind of activity going on the screen. They got 3 people running and racing on the field. They got people yelling at you in the stands. So there's no downtime at all because they can't afford downtime because the people that are in the stadium can't visually be there and not be doing something at the same time.
We have people in our ballpark?
No.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, that's true.
Larry, the two guys that are the head outside, I mean, LeBron, this is sort of breaking news, and we'll see if the facts support it later on, but the two guys, Ryan Braun and A-Rod, those are the two, horses that are leading this charge. And with Ryan Braun, it's like, for the most part, he's innocent until proven guilty. And for A-Rod, he's guilty until the facts come out, basically. I mean, nobody
That's
seems
actually funny that you say that because, we already have A-Rod as guilty because of the past.
Yeah.
Well, Braun's got a pass, too.
Somehow, I mean, Ryan Braun might be just as guilty as A-Rod,
Yep.
but because of the facts of his case, he's innocent. So it's funny how we look at it. I got to say, though, where there's smoke, there's fire. And I hate to say that I think Ryan Braun and A-Rod are guilty, but it's awfully strange that this keeps coming back up. Again, nothing would be finer than perhaps for Anthony Bosch to wake up tomorrow and say, I'm just kidding. But apparently there's some facts and there's some stuff pointing to this being a reality. I'm interested in seeing how this story develops.
I mean, although Milwaukee's 16 games back, what happens to that fan base and that stadium if you pull Ryan Braun and suspend him for the remainder of the year?
I'm sorry, because I was tending to a door. I apologize. You said about Ryan Braun?
I said Milwaukee is 16 games back, so they're not really in the hunt right now. But if you pull Ryan Braun and you suspend him for the remainder of the year, what happens to that fan base?
Well, they stop coming out to the games.
Yeah.
I mean, as it is at 16 games out.
We know what that's like.
I mean, that's tough right there. They're not getting the job done. They lose him for a year. You're going to see something similar to what you see
down here.
Here at Marlins Park. I mean, you're going to see empty seats. And you just stated this Boston game where there's a lot of empty seats. There's going to be a lot of empty seats around ballparks in America. And, the attendance figures don't seem to corroborate what our eyes are telling us.
Yes.
And it's weird because the numbers say one story, but you look at the ballparks. Do you ever remember seeing ballparks so empty?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I was telling you. I mean, I'm on TV here. They got Boston in Fenway, and in the expensive seats right behind home plate, there's got to be 20 or 30 empty seats.
Guys, my Yankees will show you a bunch of empty seats every night in the Bronx. I mean, it's no one is immune to this. And I think what's funny is when you get a Marlins game, they'll report 14,000. There was maybe 4,000 there. It seems like they added one at the end of it somehow.
Right.
It's going on at an alarming rate around ballparks in America, and they can get away with it because some of the stuff is like people who buy season tickets that don't go to a game, and a lot of times they're able to give out tickets to radio stations and count those as tickets sold.
Well, that's what one of the
Especially
guys
when they
that
mark it at a penny, and they have all the tricks in the book.
Right.
To make it seem like their ballparks are more full than what they really are. So.
Correct. And I think this is, like you said, I think we said this earlier in their segment, that this goes down and it goes down the way it looks like it might, it's going to be devastating for baseball. And they may not recover.
I don't know how they recover from this.
I don't
Everything that's gone on the last 15
know
years.
if they do.
I think they should allow everybody to take drugs. That's my opinion.
That's apparently another show, but I'll tell you what. If it were me on the come up in the big leagues and I wanted to make an impact, and they told me we got this little thing here that you take, and it'll make you a better ball player. I'm an integrous guy and all, but I gotta wonder if I would fall under temptation. I think nowadays it's more shame on you guys because you know that you're not supposed to be doing it. Back in the day when it was more of an issue, like Carlos, you were talking about back in the late 90s when the long ball was cool and all that.
Right.
There's more, it was more, I'm more able to forgive it. I think it's more of a forgivable offense. Nowadays, knowing that the right, testing is in place, knowing what's going on in baseball, knowing that baseball's trying to figure out what the heck is going on, to engage in this stuff is foolish.
Larry, appreciate you coming on. 2 quick questions with one-word answers before you head out of here. Does A-Rod ever play again?
Nope.
And how bad are the Marlins?
They are 1962 New York Mets bad.
There you go.
Couldn't do it in one word.
That's more than one answer. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. In September, I think I'll actually be getting credentials to Marlins games because they're going to be on the cusp of breaking that Mets record. I don't care how well they play this week.
Hey, Larry, you watch Games of Thrones?
Oh my God.
No, I don't actually.
You can't even say the title right.
I don't watch Game of Thrones.
You don't?
That's all right.
Oh, okay.
Well, appreciate Larry you coming on the show with us.
Is there a joke behind the Game of Thrones thing?
Yeah, man. We had some sort of editor and writer from one of their websites come on the show, and then Jorge starts breaking down Heat basketball with the guy, and I'm like, what are you doing? That's not what he's on for.
Well, I mean, I was on the Talk Baseball with you guys, and I went off on the Fool. So I mean,
no, I mean that's fine, but at least we got into baseball. We didn't, out of nowhere just start breaking down what's going on in Game of Thrones.
So what do you guys think? You guys think he comes on his radio show tomorrow and makes it all about this?
Who, Sid?
Sydney Awesome.
Yeah, I think Sid is going to start off and he's going to get on you and rip you really.
When
good
is he
early.
on? I'm sorry, I don't listen to him.
Well, you know the station that when you put it on, you hear Cuba, the Cuban interference station? 640?
That's it.
That's the one. The one that gets decent ratings just a bit north of Glade, between Glades and Linton, just east of 441. They've got a really good share there.
Yeah.
Up in Palm Beach.
Right in that little area, right in the Hollandale
And what
area.
time is he on?
He's on from 6 to 10 if you can hear him. If you
In the
can
morning?
hear through the Cuban interference,
Okay.
you can hear some of his nonsense. But yeah, he's on.
I'll listen to
I'm
him
curious
tomorrow.
where he's going to go with it. I'm going to probably not listen like I usually do. And I'm sure that folks will give me the reports. I will say this. I will promise this on your radio show, okay? If he calls me Larry Moulignan again, him and I are going to have a problem. Him and I are going to have a very, very serious problem, and I'm going to use my media influence, and I'm going to call him out.
But you're not going to fight or anything like that, right?
I'm telling you, if I got to put my ugly face in front of a camera on CBS 4, I don't care what the situation is, but if he says it again, I'm going to he's going to wish he never said it, and he's going to wish he never met me, because I'm going to make his life heck. I'm telling you right now, there are people that are chomping at the bit, waiting to see this guy wither away, and this is the perfect way to make him wither away.
Yeah, he's a scumbag.
Yep, you can't get away with saying it, and if you keep on going to it because you're trying to be funny, at this point now you're once again being a racist, like he was when he said what he said on the Amish show, when he made a mention that Venus and Serena were better suited for National Geographic than they were for Playboy.
Exactly.
This guy is a walking racist, and someone needs to call him out for it.
Well, I'll tell you what, after what happened today and, the way you are and the way the show is, we're at war. We're going to go to war, Larry, and, us here at the Sports Table, and then, your regular show with Diz, Troy, me, and Rudy, we got your back, bro.
I appreciate that, man. And, any chance you get to call him a come please go ahead and do it, because it's well-deserved. And on your show, I can actually say those bad words.
Yes, you can.
Exactly. Today, it was tough to stay corralled. I know Diz did a good job of going off, but it was one of those things, man, that I wanted to kind of contain myself. And like I said, I'm going to send you guys my little release so you can see where I'm coming from, man. I come from a proud family. I'll break it down to this. It doesn't get any simpler than this, okay? My daughter sees me this morning fiddling with something or other, and she sees that I have the sound. I play the sound for her, okay? And in the sound, his board op mentions that my kids go out and play with the pots. Leon's kids go out with pots and pans, And then he goes and he calls me, the name, and he says it twice in the soundbite. And my daughter looks at me, and she goes, so basically he's making fun of our last name. And I told her, I said, honey, have a good day at school. It had hit me 3 weeks ago. I've been pissed about this for a while. This morning, it sunk in so clearly to me when she said that. So in other words, he's just making fun of our last name.
Yeah.
And her innocence, not understanding what that word is, at the crux of it, he's making fun of my last name. When you go beyond it and realize what it is that he's doing and saying to make fun of my last name, it offends everyone. And that's got to be called out, man. That can't, you can't stay quiet on that. My lawyer was for weeks telling me not to get involved in this, and I told him, it's my last name. Tomorrow I don't do another day of radio, it's my last name. I have a sense of pride in that last name. And there's a lot in a name, guys. When you guys, Chris, I know you're not married, but when a woman marries you, she takes your last name. It's a family name. It's what you leave. I don't leave anything. I'm going to leave a bag of bones and carcass that's going to waste away when I get buried 6 feet under and I'm no longer with us.
But your name's still here.
My last name will be on that headstone forever. And I'm sorry, dude. I just can't let that guy come out here, make a mockery of Emilio Milian, who's a great man, make a mockery of my cousin Alberto, make a mockery of me, and for every Milian of Cuban-American descent that would take offense to that, and to every African-American, not just in Miami, but everywhere, who would hear that, be subjected to that, and realize he's coming out and he's being a racist when he says it.
Well, the point is that they don't know what he's saying yet until it's time to make it public, because they don't understand what that term means. But once they do, they ain't gonna like it.
Yeah, I think there's going to be an upward in this. I really do.
Yep.
I expect to get some lashback tomorrow. I'm imagining tomorrow morning is going to be a little bit of heck. But that's fine. I mean, that's what this business is about. At the end of the day, I stand firmly behind what I believe in, and I'm not going to let him say it again. And if he says it again, I'm going to take him to task for it. I told you guys, woodshed. I'm going to do the Muhammad Ali on him.
Do it.
Well, we appreciate you coming on, Larry, airing us and showing us what's going on with this baseball stuff. Appreciate it, man.
No problem, bro. No problem. I just hope baseball survives, man. That's my favorite sport. It's killing me with this.
You got it, man.
All right, Larry. Thanks
Later,
again,
guys.
man. All right.
Thanks, man.
Bye.
That was Larry Milian. He's heated about that stuff. I'm telling you, the whole show today was about that, and most of his segment was about that too. So you tried to sabotage the segment again, but thank God for Larry's a pro, and he saved it himself. We're gonna go to break because that was a long interview. We're gonna come back and we're gonna get into Carlos' segment, Come Mierda of the Week, and wrap this puppy up.
Woo! I only do that because that's not even soft.
It's not even the same. It's not even the same type of music.
I think the genre he just picked was
Nope.
Spanish.
I picked stuff from all the 15s that were in. I think that was what I went with.
Yeah, this is wedding stuff, dude.
Holy crap!
This is what you dance at a
I
wedding.
got criticized because they weren't in the same album.
I'll be honest. I think this was in 4 of the 6 15s I was in. Somewhere, always this song.
Yeah, I'm telling you, this is what everyone danced to.
Yeah, that's it.
Or try to. I'm taking salsa lessons.
Oh God, I wish you could see my poor brother try to dance. You ever eaten something and there's always like a taste you don't know what it is, but something's off? That's how my brother dances.
Just a little bit off.
Bless his soul, and we've taught him, and it's always just like you're watching it. It's right, but it's not.
The effort's there.
Yeah. No, and hey, he's a champ. He tries, and he'll go out there if he's inspired to. Bless his soul. But yeah.
We've had a good show so far. Welcome back to the Sports Table. The last segment we had was with Larry talking baseball. Segment before that was Game of Thrones with Theo George's best friend, Phil. Thanks to him, we know where he's from and how little he knows about basketball.
Insightful.
What do you know? What do you mean? He made some good points about,
didn't they sound familiar? Because I'm pretty sure I've heard that from that same mouth right there. The Heat are good, man, LeBron. So
Spurs are old. Don't count them out.
The Heat play tomorrow. Right
Yes,
now,
they do.
we're gonna get to this next segment. I'm just gonna play this music. I'm gonna do the
We haven't done the production for it.
Yeah, the production haven't been set yet, but this will more or less be the intro to it. So. What's the name of the segment called?
What the hell are they up to now?
So just lay it on this with this music behind you.
Woo, what the hell are they up to now? Well, here, Michael McKinley, the acting deputy director general for audits, has put out a 48-page report on the IRS and what the IRS has done. Not the scandal that they're currently involved in, but a previous scandal that's now underway. The IRS spent $4.1 million on a conference about a year and a half ago. $4.1 million on one conference for 26 people.
Huh?
Yo.
What?
Okay. Now,
what did they eat?
Explain to me how they do that. Well,
manatee, bald eagle,
let me
turtles.
Let me start to round this off a little bit. Since 2010,
how many days? I'm sorry, how many days?
12 days.
12?
12 days.
They sat on
I
chairs.
don't even make that in a year.
They sat on chairs
from
made of blue whale
2012.
foreskin.
From 2010 to 2012, they held 225 conferences. In those 225 conferences, they spent $49 million in 225 conferences for a total of 2,600 people.
Now that's out of the taxpayer money?
Let's get into that. Yeah. Now, some of the expenses, we'll get to that detail. Some of the expenses during this this frolicking of travel and tourism that they experienced was $50,187 on video productions. They had a Star Trek parody made for them so they can amuse themselves.
Very important.
They spent $44,500 on 2 speakers. Only one of them spoke because the other speaker, his speaking role was actually to paint portraits on stage while the IRS agents watched.
I didn't know the IRS was so artsy.
They're very artsy. They're very, very, very cultured. He painted a portrait of Einstein, oil, of Jordan, Michael Jordan, Abraham Lincoln, one of Bono of U2.
Oh yeah,
and
this sounds fake. This is the IRS,
and 2 of the Statue of Liberty.
I thought they weren't allowed to wear nothing but like white shirts and black suits.
Now let me tell you, even Bono would object to this. I mean, this is a man in Bono who keeps his money in the Netherlands. He doesn't keep his money in the United States. He doesn't keep his money in Ireland because of the taxes. So he keeps his money in the Netherlands. So even someone like him is going to object to this. You know, it's ridiculous. They spent $64,000 in gifts to the attendees, $133,000 for 2 event planners who are freelance planners. They're not even the people that work for the IRS that have this job. They have employees that do conference planning. And when you're an IRS conference planner, you try to speak to Hilton and you try to speak to the Ramada Inn and you try to get really good rates based on the fact that you are the IRS. If you come calling, they're going to give you good rates, right? Well, no, they went outside and hired outside planners in order to ensure that no corners were cut in their fund. Right? This comes on the heels of a $1 million vacation Las Vegas conference that they had a year ago. $1 million, 42 attendees.
What kind of conference? What goes on in a conference that costs you $1 million?
$1 million.
Let me tell you, the first one you said, $26 million. No, $4.6 million.
$4.1 million.
For 26 people.
Yes.
You can do it, Blackberry. You can do it.
No, actually, I did it wrong. Never mind.
Continue doing your math. Because I can do the math for you. It's $239,000 per person for 42 attendees, $1 million. Right? That's a lot of money.
What are they doing?
I don't know what they're doing. They didn't get into specifics aside from the culture, the video dancing.
Did they play Phase 10?
Those kind of things.
It's
they're playing Monopoly,
14,000.
right?
They were playing Cards Against Humanity.
$14,743 a day.
A day.
Per person.
Per person. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. I don't know what they're spending their money on. There is a 48-page report. There's a 48-page report that I now have downloaded and I have on my computer. I'm going to break down the entire thing just for my own edification because I need to see where this money went just to be able to be educated enough on it. But all this is happening under the reign and control of our Emir, Obama. I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible that he's allowing this to happen. This happens.
Hey.
Let me tell you this. Let me tell you this because I think this is very, very interesting. That the director of the IRS visited the Bush administration. 8 years of the Bush administration. He visited the White House one time.
Right.
The director of the IRS has visited the Obama administration in the last 4 years. Care to gather a guess?
No, I know what the number is.
Oh, you know?
It's
36.
157
Yeah,
times.
it's over 100.
157 times. Now, what are they discussing during this time?
How to take my money?
Fantasy football.
I don't know. But I'm getting a
How
little
to
bit
spend my money?
NCAA brackets.
Game
getting
of
a little bit
Thrones.
tired
Games of Thrones?
of
It's game. There's one game. There's one game. There's one throne.
Games of Thrones?
You know what? Here's the problem. $3.2 million of the money that they spent on these conferences over the last few years, $3.2 million of that money was allocated to hire new agents. Okay? One of the reasons that this government has given for the fact that there was this questionable action against Tea Party members, conservatives, church-going groups, individuals that were trying to get the 501c4 rating and tax-exempt thing. One of the reasons that they gave that they were kind of stonewalling this thing was the lack of staff. Too many applications coming in during this time. Well, you know what? You took $3.2 million that was earmarked for hiring, and now you're telling me you were short during this time. You're not hiring people, but you're out eating and having a great time. You know what? Here's a bit of advice. Take the money, stop traveling, stop the tourism, stop the excitement, stop the conferences and the lavishness that you're living with, and put that $3 million towards what it was earmarked for and hire more agents so you guys can do your jobs the way it's expected to do.
Didn't they also do a Gilligan's Island thing? I know it was the Star Trek and Gilligan's Island.
They did a little dance. They did that bopping dance that the agents were all taught. They had a dance instructor that was teaching them how to dance. They were doing a little production. All the IRS agents were on the stage. They were doing this kind of line dancing thing. Really interesting.
I had no idea the IRS was behaving like Google.
They are.
Wow.
I mean,
Google is private, though.
I know.
And at Google, I'm not paying for it.
Yeah, I know. Well, no. I'm very aware and how absurd we're paying for their Gilligan's Island dance. But what the hell?
This isn't the first time that a government branch has, sort of been monitored and scolded for spending too much money on the taxpayer dollar.
Absolutely not.
It's just funny to me that of all of them, it's the IRS.
Yes, and you know what? Funny, ironic, and scary, because the IRS is now going to be in charge of what? Obamacare. The IRS is the agency that's been put in charge of ensuring that Obamacare gets carried out efficiently, and that they are the ones that are actually going to be penalizing those that don't get the coverage that are being mandated by the Emir. So now what do we do?
You know,
they can't be trusted with their own money. They're being trusted with our money.
$2 million PowerPoint so they can figure out.
It doesn't because you're kids and you still haven't started making money or real money.
That's an understatement.
But when we look at it, I got a check from the IRS this year for back taxes because I made about 50% less than I would have made for the past 15. So I got a check back. Before that, I went on 15 years paying an average of between $20,000 and $25,000 between me and your tia. $20,000 to $25,000 a year in taxes.
I think that covers a painting.
Let me tell you,
a guy that doesn't work there for very long.
When you start paying that amount of taxes, and April 15th comes, and you got to go do your taxes, and then they tell you haven't paid enough, and you got to send them a check for it. It was never big. It was always $1,000, $1,500, $2,000, something like that. But you still got to write them a check for $2,000, and you hear that, you want to grab somebody by the neck and kill them.
No, that's true. The year I retired in 2009, and the city took out 24% that they had to send to the IRS of all my holdings, all my comp money, all the money that I had put away over the 24 years. So they sent him a check for like $27,000, $28,000. In 2010, when I did my taxes, I had to claim all the stuff that I had gotten from my retirement. And I had to write the check this year. In 2010, I had to write a check. I didn't receive a return. My check was $22,700 that I had to write them. Out of my bank account, I had to write a check for $22,000.
So my point, you hear that and it doesn't
resonate.
It doesn't resonate with you guys. With me, I get pissed, man. I get pissed because I dreaded doing my taxes. I dreaded. I mean, I would go. You can ask Tia.
Yeah,
I would go do my
knot in your
taxes.
stomach. Would I knot
and
in your
I
stomach?
would come out pissed the fuck off. I mean, I would come out pissed off because after writing or paying the whole year, I had to pay. Oh man!
And you pay all year long. Again,
you do.
I can break down my numbers, and I'm paying $26,000, $27,000, $28,000 a year right now, currently, as a retired guy. I'm paying in the high 20s. That's a salary. That's a good salary for some people.
What I could do with $20,000.
I mean, and when you start to see that these guys are going out and they're having, $7,000 dinners on me
with my money.
With my money? I mean, that was part of the $22,000 check that I wrote. That was 2010. It's the same year. They were eating with my money, and I didn't get to go to dinner that night. Yeah. Give me a break. That's the problem. You can hit the music now, damn it.
Yeah, go ahead. What?
You know what? They should be eating Taco Bell.
Oh my.
That beefy crunch.
They should be eating the licked Taco Bell shells.
Just give it. What the hell are they doing?
The hell are they trying to get away with?
Wait till you start paying real taxes, bro.
I don't want to.
The hell are they up to now?
Right. Perfect segue.
Yeah, it is.
That's aggravating. I mean, I know I can be upset just as much as you guys. It doesn't hurt me as much, but I could be upset. I mean,
right. I mean, if I had more money, I could take you out to dinner more often.
The little money that I give them, damn.
It hurts.
It hurts.
All my taxes are going to their to shine their shoes.
Yeah, man. That bitch Fika, she can take your money, bro. She can take your money more than any wife you'll ever have.
Jesus. All right, Come Mierda of the Week. We got a good show. Jam-packed show. Great guests. Great topics.
Very knowledgeable.
Very knowledgeable about other stuff that we didn't really care for. But hey. Come Mierda of the Week. Does anyone want to go first?
You know what? I'm warmed up. I might as well go, man. I might as well keep going. You know what? I was watching the Heat game, man. Man, that little Justin Bieber. Boy, he just burns my ass, man. He's a clown with a lot of money, bro. Keyshawn Johnson was about a freaking whisker away from whipping him out of his garage and whooping his ass, and I wish he would have done that, man. I've never been a Keyshawn fan, but as of last week, I am a Keyshawn lover.
What happened?
I'm trying to get his handle so I can tweet him and become a follower because I'm a big Keyshawn fan. This little punk and his little boyfriend, they're freaking speeding down the road. They both live in Calabasas, California. They live in this big community, and Keyshawn lives in the same road. And they're driving this freaking Ferrari. What is it? It's a Ferrari 458 Italia. Driving this white thing 100 miles an hour down the road, 100 and something miles an hour, right in front of Keyshawn's house. His kids are playing outside. So Keyshawn hears that, sees the car speed by, and gets pissed off, gets his keys and jumps into his Prius.
Yeah!
And Keyshawn chases him down in his Prius and blocks the driveway, gets out of the car, and he's in the thing. He won't come out towards Keyshawn. Keyshawn's 6'4", 250. That's a big boy. And Keyshawn's sitting there hollering at him.
Oh, he won't come out?
He won't come out of the driveway, man.
Of course not. He's going to get his $400 hat ruined.
I wasn't driving. And not only for that, but also for sitting in the middle of a Heat game 7, wearing glasses.
What a schmuck.
What a
freaking
that's
little
got
punk,
some
man.
precedent, because anytime I've ever seen anything about him being a sports guy, it's usually his girlfriend watching the game
And
with
him on the
just
phone.
hearing,
Yeah.
and him texting with the sunglasses on and the douchey leather shirt and
the only
$400 hat.
The only reason he's there is because his publicist says, hey, that's a good place to be seen. We got your tickets. Go get seen. Remember, it doesn't matter how they spell your name, just as long as you get the publicity. And that's all he cares about. He's a publicity whore. He's a little punk that needs his ass whooped, and I wish Keyshawn would have done it. So for that, Justin Bieber, You're my come mierda of the week.
Come mierda, baby, baby. Oh.
Come mierda.
I'm going next. I thought when you started by saying about the Heat game, I thought you were going to take my come mierda of the week.
Okay.
But my come mierda of the week is the entire TNT crew. Even the guys behind the cameras that I didn't see.
Hey, law of verticality, man. Law of verticality.
What?
Law of verticality.
Don't be cursing on me, man.
Flop. Flop. Stop flopping, George.
Superman.
Superman. Carlos and I were texting each other. I started throwing things in the house. They are
my house.
I cannot believe these guys are professionals. I cannot believe that these guys are professionals.
These guys being who? Everybody?
No. Marv, freaking the guard for whatever his name, Miller, and the other blonde little kid.
Kerr.
They're the worst. They are the worst. They're biased.
They're pretty bad.
Their perspective is messed up. And I was pissed.
Man, they changed their opinions every other basket or every other quarter. They would tell you something different. Yeah. They never stuck to their guns or to the original analysis. They were analysis by quarter.
No, and not only that, they don't give the Heat credit for anything.
No, it was always Indiana.
The Heat, yeah. It was not a good play by the Heat. It was a bad play by Indiana.
Yeah. When Dwayne picked that ball off in the middle and went and dunked it, it wasn't a good defensive play or jumping the lane by Dwayne. It was just a poor pass by what's his name, the idiot.
A big negative.
Yeah.
And for that,
I give TNT the come mierda of the week. Come mierda.
From downtown.
Yes.
Yes.
I'll go. My come mierda of the week. He's a politician. I figured Carlos would have got jumped on this story. Actually, not really. But for me, my come mierda of the week is John McCain. I'll explain why. John McCain, I know he's for supporting the Syrian troops and arming them. I'm not calling him a come mierda for that. He goes and he does a secret trip without telling anybody and visits the opposition fighters. He's not a come mierda for that. He's a come mierda because he takes a picture with a bunch of the Syrian rebels and he doesn't know who he's with because there, sitting next to him, are two terrorists that they kidnapped 11 Lebanese Shiite Muslims. Mr. Mohammed Noor and a Mr. Abu Ibrahim standing with him in the same picture.
Wow. Abu like the monkey?
I mean, he comes out and he says it's unfortunate that we were taken, that they jumped in and took a photo with us. Are you telling me a terrorist photobombed you?
Got photobombed by Muhammad and Abdul.
John McCain, you won't go mierda, bro. You gotta know who you're with.
Yes, sir.
You're representing the country. You go on your own, but you carry all of us with you, and you're gonna stand and take pictures with terrorists. He's won't come mierda. So for that, John McCain, you're my come mierda of the week.
Come mierda.
What an idiot.
I feel like mine pales in comparison again. I'm on the low end here.
Okay, what are you gonna do? The paper that cut you? Or
No.
Subway?
No.
The batteries that ran out of your control so you couldn't see the TV.
No.
Okay.
I'm going with whoever the hell Walder Frey sent to stab Ned Stark again. God, they write this great thing. We all get happy. Like, Ned is back. He's going to come back. Rob is going to raise a Ned Stark. And the first one to go down is Ned Stark again. God. Ned 0 for 2 in the Game of Thrones. 2 lives possible, 2 lives lost. Or is that 2 for 2? I don't know. What that
Could he possibly be more worse than that?
That's still inanimate object.
It is.
Still watch it from the TV.
A fake baby.
Oh my gosh,
a fake embryo.
No.
A fake embryo.
Murderer of a fake embryo. Get it right.
The fake murder of a fake embryo.
Yeah. Yep.
Somebody needs to explain the segment to Alan.
Hey, I already told you, nothing makes me that angry. I got nothing else.
That was just food coloring.
Huh?
That was just food coloring. It wasn't real blood.
I was going to go with Walder Frey, but to be honest, I was more concerned with losing Ned Stark.
Who's Walder Frey?
No. What's
He-
that?
And doesn't know anything about Games of Thrones.
No, he's on the walking throne.
What's that?
God. I'm scarred for the
Anyway.
rest of whenever we do this show.
Oh my gosh, Alan.
So, Houston come mierda of the week then?
The
I don't even know his name.
The knife.
That dude who killed the baby that doesn't actually exist that made me feel bad about almost existing.
The knife.
My Come Mierda of the week. Come Mierda.
We need to work on this.
Oh my god. Game 1 is tomorrow, gentlemen.
Woo! Predictions right now, right here.
No, man.
I predict Tim Duncan is playing Dungeons and Dragons right now.
Miami's gonna win. I mean,
Miami
it's
by
not-
12.
Heat go out to a big lead. The Spurs reel them in. The Heat pull away and probably win 8-10 at the end.
Here's the real question: does Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh reemerge themselves a little bit?
Yes.
I do believe
Absolutely.
that Dwayne Wade may lead the Heat in scoring tomorrow night.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a big. That's a big.
That's a
statement.
big
it's possible.
statement. That is a big statement.
And Shane Battier, does he play or? Is
Oh,
he
he's
benched?
back. Yeah, he's not gonna have the boogeyman to beat the crap out of him. There's nobody on that team that just gonna. Who's gonna do that to him? Diao.
Yeah, but I thought he left because he couldn't shoot the three. That's why they brought in Mike Miller.
Look, if he can't stop the boogeyman, not shooting the three is another reason to get him out of there. He couldn't do either. At least Miller could rebound and maybe hit a three. But you'll see him back because he's rather important into the defensive rotation. So yeah, he'll be back. Hopefully he'll hit something. And if not, we've got White Lightning, Mike Miller.
And he's batting.
Good
And
show.
ribs.
Good show today.
Back
Guys.
and elbow. But beautiful hair. He's got great hair.
Yeah, he does.
Really, it's
Shot
kind of
his head.
greasy.
Nah, that's
I don't like
majestic, man. It bounces. Yeah, good hair.
It's more like flops like a wet mop.
I disagree.
But with that, we want to thank Defo and DefoRadio.com.
Thanks, Defo.
For continuing to host us. Mike and Ken and all those guys behind the scenes that are putting us through. Alan continuing daily to put us up on YouTube and promote us and
Right on, Alan.
do all that stuff.
Sports Table Miami on YouTube. Check us out.
For Theo Carlos,
Peace.
Theo George, Alan,
Later.
I'm Chris. We will see you guys next week. We'll probably be after game 2, maybe game 3. We'll see where the Heat stand from there.
Should be 2-0 by the time we get back.
3-0.
So keep us locked here. We'll see you guys next week.
Voy para Martané, llego a